Coco and I, our focus is going to be on Zidanšek against Jabeur. And as we spoke about there with Reem, it's incredible how much she carries on her shoulders. I mean, imagine representing a continent, but she carries it so well. She sort of embraces her role and what she's here to do.
1 minute.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard to put into words how that would feel, especially coming from the background she comes from. I mean, like we were saying, she's the first male or female to ever do the things that she's doing on a tennis court, and it's fantastic the way she's brought light to the situation, to the honesty behind her answers in the press conferences, and just the happiness she brings for herself when she's out there on court. If she can just manage the nerves that she's shown in the last couple of Grand Slams in the early rounds, she'll be a threat in later rounds.
So I think it's interesting that when we have someone in the public eye, whether they're an athlete or in the entertainment world, we assume, like Coco, we'd assume you're a role model because you're out there, you're in the public eye. And you might say, well, I don't want to be a role model, I'm just here as a tennis player. But it's a role that has been given to Jabeur, and she's very much happy with it.
Yes, I mean, you realize that as a junior, that how much you looked up to these professional players, and from any sport across the board, they are role models as much as they don't want to be. There's kids that listen to what they say and how they dress and how they behave, and you know, it's a hard feeling to kind of comprehend that there's so many people looking at you. I'm very fortunate that I'm an older sibling, and I take that responsibility as, like, you know, it's like my younger siblings looking up to me to represent myself as best I can, and so that's how you have to think of it a little bit, of just kind of being an older brother or sister out there on court.
Both players are now out on court. We'll also keep an eye on Kokkinakis against Fognini, the winner to face Andy Murray. But as you heard, it is Jabeur, the Tunisian, who will start things off on the night session on day 2 on the Rod Laver Arena, saying goals this year to win a Grand Slam. She got so close on 2 occasions. She's just skews the first forehand wide. It's coming up to 8 o'clock in the evening, and the roof, Coco pointed out the rain. I've seen some outdoor shots. The rain is falling, so the roof is on. But wonderfully, we have 3 courts that have roofs on.
Yes, it's fantastic when you're playing on one of the show courts and you don't have to do the start-stop nonsense on the outdoor courts. That feeling when you go back to the locker room or in the waiting areas of quickly trying to get out of your wet, sweaty clothes, and hopefully you brought enough change of gear to be able to manage through the different showers that are going to be hitting us tonight.
And it must be quite hard, because when do you eat, when do you sleep, when are you resting, when you're not, when are you getting ready? It just can be so hard to know.
Oh, it's impossible. I was up in the lounge a little earlier, just watching the different players, just kind of twiddling their thumbs, playing different games, having a bit of a bite to eat, and talking with a few of them that were behind men's matches. And as a woman, you don't want to be behind 2 men's matches at this stage. It's just that you're waiting for at least a 2.5 hour, 3 hour match, and at the time right now, that means you're going to be getting on the court at 10, 11 o'clock at night.
As it is, it's early evening in Melbourne. It's morning time in the UK, 1 minute to 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, but it's 15:30. Some staring at her racket from the Tunisian. She's not got the feel for it as things stand. The short high ball sits up from Zidanšek, who goes inside in with the forehand. Short cross court from Jabeur, brings Jabeur in, who plays the slice. She does not get hold of that at all. It's been a tricky start, and break points for the Slovenian.
15.
It's definitely a bit of nerves out here, getting your feet underneath you. It's first round match. You gotta give yourself a little bit of a moment. Ons was playing a little quickly at the start of the match, getting to the service line a little bit faster than probably I would like to see. When things are going your way, especially at the start of a match, you want to make it as slow as possible.
Break points for Zidanšek, who favours the clay. Best result came semi-finals at Roland Garros in 2021. Zidanšek scampers the backhand side. Jabeur was in control at that point. She draws the error, and she saves the first of the 2 break points. Jabeur with blue, so royal blue shorts, and then a predominantly white top, or white on the back and the front. Has got some blue patches on it, and she's got the headband with the hair tied up. Second break point to save. serve out wide, bunted back by Zidanšek. Forehand through the middle, but it sits up for Zidanšek to push deep, and then slightly didn't seem to have the feet in the right position, and there's just a tiny little fist pump from the Slovenian. There's an awfully long way to go, but she'll be very happy to have got that break, and Coco to have got herself on the board with the 1-love lead.
Definitely, it's a bit of a relaxer when you can get that first break under your belt. Now you just got to consolidate, play a good first point here, have a good plan of what you're going to do. First serve, where it's going, what you're doing with the second shot. Keep it as simple as possible to get your feet underneath you, because as much as it is that she has the break right now, she's still got the nerve. She's still got to serve to consolidate.
The pre-match win predictor, 82% in favour of Jabeur, the 28-year-old, who sits around 6,000 points behind Iga Świątek. Now Zidanšek, 25 years of age, from Slovenia. 5th appearance at the Australian Open. Her best was reaching the 3rd round here last year when she lost to Elise Cornet. Cornet lost earlier today to Leylah Fernandez. The slice from Zidanšek, the forehand just hooked. It just looks a little bit flat-footed at the moment, Jabeur.
Just a little bit. I mean, you come out with such energy and such, happiness when you start the match, and to go down an early break, it kind of deflates you a little bit. And so you have to find positives in what you're doing, and just getting point by point, just making little chinks in the armor to try and get yourself into this match.
Serve out wide from Zidanšek, who's inside the baseline, clips top of the net, so it slows down, and you heard the noise from Jabeur. She knew she hadn't caught it as she would have wished, and it's 30-love.
She's trying to bounce around a little bit, get her legs going. It's not easy to do. She's taking a couple big deep breaths, trying to relax herself. She's just overcooking things just a little bit too much.
That cry of come on ons from inside the roof-covered Rod Laver Arena as Zidanšek just goes about her business, planting her feet on the baseline, the Slovenian, but then the backhand drops off the racket into there. Let her drop a little bit too low, and Jabeur is on the board, and Zidanšek has a white visor on, her hair tied back into a plait that goes down between the shoulder blades, a red top, green skirt. I'm really bad with colours. It's green, isn't it, that skirt? Calling it just green?
Yes, it's a seafoam green, if we're going to be picky.
Wow, you see? I knew you were going to give it something extra.
There's going to be somebody that's going to write me and say you're completely off. It's not seafoam.
No, I just kind of went, is that green? So you did a lot better with seafoam green. Wow, okay.
Call me a fashionista.
Yeah, no, you've got the job. I'm going to stand back and you just take over on that side of things. So Jabeur, 30-year-old, Zidanšek just blowing on the fingertips of her right hand, her racket-holding hand. She tucks the spare ball in the shorts. She's got sea foam green shorts on under the skirt, so the spare ball's in there, doesn't need it. The first serve, it's in. The runs around the backhand now, Zidanšek, and gets a very deep shot off the forehand side, drops short from Jabeur, and it allowed Zidanšek to shorten the angle, cut it cross-court, and get the winner.
That was great poise by Tamara. It's just fantastic to see her dictating with that forehand, making ons be stretched out, going to that single hand and not being dictating with the slice.
She's also someone, Zidanšek, who's not afraid to come forward. She says she likes to mix things up with the volleys, with the slice, likes to add in something a little bit different. She's got a game point for the consolidation. She goes inside out with the forehand, the Slovenian. She goes inside out again. She's peppering the slice backhand of Jabeur. Oh, she's trying to cut the ball up down the line with the backhand side, but she nets and it's juice.
It is what you have to do against ons. You have to come forward when she is hitting that slice. When she is on the stretch, you can't let her float that ball back and restart the point and have another crack at hitting forehands and making you move.
Zidanšek, her lead up to the Australian Open, lost in both the first round of Auckland and Hobart, has been as high in the world as 22. That was in February of last year, currently sitting just inside the world's top 100. As it comes off the frame of the Jabeur racket at 98, and it's the third meeting between the two. Most recently they met, both times they've met on the clay, most recently in Rome. Zidanšek came through in the second round of qualifying, that was 2019, and before that it was an ITF level in 2016 in which Jabeur came out on top. But Zidanšek looking to cut the serve out wide, misses, wipes the sweat away with the sweatband on the left wrist before gets ready for the second serve at game point. Serves deep, sits up inside the baseline. She took that on Jabeur, who hits a forehand that just sits and bounces up, tries to flatten out with the off forehand Jabeur. She comes in now on a short ball, goes into the opposite wing, a little fist bump, a look to the camp, and she wins the point.
That is such a great positive point from On. She's stepping into the ball. She hits a lot of close stance forehands. She steps forward, transfers her weight well, hits to the open court, keeping the high percentage low part of the net.
Holger Rune is a winner against Filip Krajinovic. Straight sets the 9th seed 6-2, 6-3, 6-4, and Veronika Kudermetova, the 9th seed on the women's draw, is through 6-2, 7-6. So much tennis being played because of that delay due to the heat rule being unforced. Juice here, where we had the roofs, we were able to play from kickoff on the order of play on the Rod Laver Arena, and Zidanšek just a tiny, just goes quietly about her business, little fist pump there, gathers the 3 balls, examines them, discards one, bounces one, tucks one in the shorts as Jabeur sort of a little nod to herself, that wide stance, waits to return the serve as Zidanšek looks to consolidate the break. Goes into the backhand double-hander from Jabeur. Jabeur now takes one hand off and slices it. The slice floats, just in from Zidanšek. Zidanšek with the slice again. Jabeur goes inside out, back behind Zidanšek. Lovely play.
That was great disguise right there from On. She kept the slice low, and Zidanšek floated this one just a little bit, gave Ons enough time to get her feet around and drive into that forehand.
3 men waving they've each got a letter. They've got ONS, and they were waggling it around when Jabeur won that point. Good crowd. There are a few seats here and there. I'm sure they'll be filled as the night session progresses. Where are we? 9 minutes into this contest? 7 minutes past 8 of the evening. The rain is falling. The tennis continues when there is a roof. And Jabeur comes in, a little bit of a shorter ball, goes inside in the Tunisian. Then she goes forehand down the other wing. The backhand through the centre from Zidanšek. The off forehand into the corner from Jabeur. Jabeur with the forehand switches the play to the forehand of Zidanšek, goes down the line. Cross-court backhand double-hander from Jabeur, who goes drop shot. Doesn't make it. It would have been a winner if it had crept over. Doesn't quite make it over the net. And it's another opportunity for Zidanšek to consolidate.
I know she missed this drop shot, but what Ons does so well is her disguise. She was holding the 2 hands on the racket for the backhand and went last minute to the single-handed drop shot. Unfortunately, just clipped the net, doesn't have a range yet, but I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more drop shots from her.
Yeah, absolutely. So 3 matches for you. The rain is heavy enough to suspend play. So what a frustrating day outside. They had the heat rule that was enforced because conditions were unsafe, and now the rain is falling, so play once again has been suspended. But we have the 3 courts, and we have play on those 3 courts. The slice cross court floated by Jabeur, who goes back to the backhand of Zidanšek, had to reposition herself, couldn't get back into position in time, and this very lengthy second game will continue. Yes,
this is a great game for Ons to just try and get her feet into this match, to kind of find her range. She's been overcooking a few balls and getting into the rallies that she wants to get in, which is those slice backhands, keeping it low, waiting for her time to find the forehand and start dictating.
Coming up to 8 minutes for game number 2 of set number 1. Jabeur leans forward, just slightly swaying the top half of her body, the ball into her body. She pulls at the double-handed backhand, and again that one loops up, sits up, and it's a short high ball for Zidanšek, who bunts that backhand into the net, and it's an opportunity now for Jabeur to break back.
Advantage.
Yes, it was a little bit of a mishit on that backhand, but what's great about a mishit is sometimes it can get high and above your opponent's shoulders, and that's hard to get deep, especially when you're not a taller player. And Ons was able to capitalize and start dictating the forehand again.
Opportunity to get us back on level terms, very early stages. Zidanšek changes things up, serves down the tee, doesn't quite hit her spot. Second serve goes out wide. Double-handed backhand from inside the baseline from Jabeur. It's into the net. We are back on serve. It was a lengthy game, but Jabeur was able to work her way into it. Took advantage of her first break point opportunity. It's a game apiece. Now, this is the 4th quarter of the draw. We've already lost Garbine Muguruza. We've got Sloane Stephens, Beatrice Haddad-Meyer, Belinda Bencic, who will be on court shortly, Arina Sabalenka. Where is the the toughest test for Jabeur, each test is tough in itself, but in terms of the seeds, those named players, where does it come from? Is it Sabalenka, the form she's in? Is it Belinda Bencic that people have been talking a lot about?
I honestly think it's Bencic. Bencic has a very difficult game to play against. Aryna, I mean, she definitely takes the racket out of your hands sometimes. She's very tough to play in a very different way, but with Bencic, she's going to be taking time away. She takes the ball early, she hugs that baseline really well, and I think that would be a tough ask for Ons, because what Ons does not like is when she's not on the offensive, and what Bencic does so well, being on top of that baseline, is always having you on the defensive or at best neutral.
And Bencic comes into this with a title. She's a 12th seed. They're just setting things up on the Margaret Court Arena because they had the delay due to the lengthy Zverev match. But they do have the roof, so once everything is set, they will be out on court. We'll keep you up to date there. As I say, not too much to keep you up to date with because of the rain, but there will be a little bit of a backlog if the weather does not clear up. Alex de Minaur is on the only other court that has a roof, and he's currently a set-up. So we'll keep across everything as it happens. I'm sure we'll be hearing a little bit more from Andy Murray later. I think we're going to be hearing from Dan Evans as well as on Jabeur, 30-15. Looks to get her nose in front, having broken back. Ooh, she thought it was an ace. But with the electric line calling, there is no challenge. You've just got to suck it up, take it, move on. Zidanšek inside the base on the double-handed backhand, crunched that second serve for the winner.
Yes, that is one thing that Ons has trouble with. Her second serve becomes a little bit predictable. She likes to go into the backhand. She has more of a topspin second serve, more so than a kick that bounces away. So if Zidanšek ends up stepping inside the court and taking that early, I think Ons will be having a lot of trouble defending her second serve.
Got an early look at the football skills as that serve that didn't hit its spot came back and shot off the right foot of Jabeur and out wide. Second serve does hit its spot. She goes inside out with the forehand. Jabeur keep it on the forehand. She goes inside in, moving Zidanšek around, who plays the squash shot but doesn't find the court, and it is game point for Ons Jabeur in the very early stages of this match. Jabeur examining the two balls, then she'll tuck the spare one under the left-hand side of the shorts. This beautiful arena, the Rod Laver Arena, with the lights on, the roof closed, and a hold of serve for Ons Jabeur to lead 2-1 in the early stages after a break apiece at the beginning. Now, from a commentary point of view, I miss line judges because I miss their arms. Because sometimes when it's really noisy and you're commentating and was it close? Did they, as a player, has it been slightly weird playing when there are no line judges? Is it better, worse, makes no difference? How do you feel about it?
I'm so torn on it. I mean, at least now there's no questions as to if it's in or out. But I do like the human interaction. I mean, this might not be a very, fan-friendly idea, but I love influencing a call. If you think you hit an ace and you kind of walk and strut like you hit an ace, and you can kind of influence an umpire to believe you hit the ace. And but it is interesting being in the commentator's point of view, and I've been watching the last two matches, last night's and tonight, and there's sometimes I'm like, was that ball in or was it out? I can't really tell.
Yeah, we're so used to looking for limbs. It shoots out or the palms go down, and you're sort of like, so now we're having to revert to look at the players and get they're not always right, but get their immediate reaction. I think, like you, I think it takes, so it's someone like Fabio Fognini. I think he needs a line judge, doesn't he? He needs to sort of get annoyed with someone about something.
Well, some people need that. I mean, I certainly need it as well every once in a while. If you can't get yourself pumped up on your own with a positive emotion or energy, and a little bit of vinegar kind of just gets you going, and if that's jarring at the umpire, I mean, listen, they have to take it in order for you to win a match. I'm willing to win a match that way.
There we go. I love it. But as you say, you just need might need something to get you fired up, but we just have you can have close calls here, so a player can see a close call if that puts their mind at rest and lets them move on. We had a slight delay to the start of the fourth game because there are a lot of people who were delayed in getting into their seats. I think what they did is maybe they were caught up somewhere having a drink or something to eat and it was raining, but they have made their way in because we've got a great night session. We've got Jabeur followed by Novak Djokovic, where we're going to be keeping an eye on the hamstring of the 9-time champion. 15 love. Zidanšek serves, and Jabeur is inside the baseline, return that serve. She'll swivel around Jabeur and hit the inside out forehand. That was a beautiful combination from the Tunisian.
What's wonderful about Ons and her forehand is the way she disguises it, and she disguises it mostly with a closed stance. She has her hips closed and it great shoulder turn on it, which makes it hard for, as an opponent, to be able to see which way she's going to go with it.
It's exactly that, isn't it? It's that element of disguise, not quite sure what you're going to get off the racket of a player like Jabeur. 15-all, the backhand flicked back by Jabeur. She's having to race from side to side. She's got her on the run, Zidanšek, but she cannot finish it off. She nets, and just a little opening now for Jabeur at 15-30.
If Ons keeps winning those types of points where she's running side to side, going from defensive to offensive, this will be a great match for her to get under her belt.
Jabeur just touching her racket frame on the court, that wide stance that she has. She leans her upper body forward as Zidanšek reaches up and serves down the tee, and the forehand put back through the middle of the court. The forehand cross-court, side edge of the sideline from Jabeur, and it's break points.
That was a great running forehand. She was able to keep her balance and her weight underneath her. She went and transferred her weight out to the outside, kept the ball cross-court, high percentage plays, wins.
Puffing at her cheeks, Jabeur, staring intently. She calls herself the Minister of Happiness, but on court it's all business, that staring down the court towards her opponent. Looking to get the advantage, a little bit of daylight in this first set. She passes the loose ball back to the ball boy at the back of the court, Jabeur, then camps herself inside the baseline to put pressure on this second serve. Second serve comes down, kicks up into the body, brought back with the off backhand from Jabeur. Jabeur, the backhand, swings it cross court but wide off the double hander.
She just didn't give herself enough space there. She needed to kind of get her feet out in position where she could actually get her arms through that backhand instead of kind of chicken winging it.
Chicken winging it. Like it. Is that a technical term?
Sure.
Excellent. Break point number 2. Zidanšek serve down the tee, slap back from Jabeur. Jabeur keep it on the forehand side, goes inside out. Great placement from Jabeur. She's edging her way forward. She's at the net now. She plays the half volley. It sits up for Zidanšek to scoop up the lob. The overhead from Jabeur. Back behind Zidanšek. There's the point. There's the game. Importantly, it's a breaker serve for Jabeur, who looks up to her camp and leads by 3-1.
That was a great 3-game swing from Jabeur. She was able to take advantage of these forehands, get dictating early with the forehands into the backhand corner, did well, stayed calm with this volley, keeping the ball out in front. If you don't have an angle, keeping the ball out in front and giving your opponent no angle to hit into is a great play, and finished off with the overhead.
So now it's Jabeur's opportunity to consolidate, something that Zidanšek couldn't take off the early break, but a lovely drop shot from the Slovenian.
Jabeur getting a little dose of her own medicine with the drop shot. It's nice to see, and a nice little play.
Made her way up there, Jabeur just couldn't control it. Jabeur, who picked up 2 titles last year, the Masters 1000 level at Madrid, also one in Berlin. Didn't break into the top 10 until October 2021, as Reem Abelel was saying. It has been a steady, slow progression from Jabeur, and maybe that's why she handles so many things so well. She has had time to get used to the position that she's in as she draws the error from Zidanšek. But again, she creates history all the time. The first African and Arab woman in the Open era to reach a Grand Slam final. And it feels like, as Reem said, Coco, that most things when we talk about Jabeur, we're saying she is the first to do this, the first to do that. I mean, it's incredible how many records she's breaking.
It's absolutely incredible. It's fantastic for women's tennis and just women's sport in general to have that exposure, to have that notoriety from such a fantastic person to be able to represent us.
Yeah, absolutely. The pickup from Jabeur, but the angle was too good from Zidanšek, and now a little window of opportunity from Tamara Zidanšek, who, well, her highlights last year, she got to the semi-final in Adelaide. She had a quarter-final and then a couple of third rounds that did come at Grand Slams and Australian Open at Roland Garros, but hasn't been able to get back to those heady heights of the start of last year, reaching 22 in the world and taking those points from that semi-final at Roland Garros in 2021. That's the tough thing. If you reach those heights, you've got to, and that's the pressure, isn't it, Coke? You've got to continually defend it and back it up and defend those points, otherwise the ranking drops.
Absolutely. We go on a 12-month calendar year of defending points. And if you start getting into the mindset of, oh, man, I got, 100 points to defend here, 1,000 points to defend there, and if I don't do that here, I got to make it up with another tournament, you can really get yourself in a tailspin of just sheer panic.
Yeah, absolutely. Game point for Jabeur to consolidate, to go 4-1 up. You heard the cry from the electronic line calling. 23 minutes played. Tennis breakfast, 9:21 on a Tuesday morning. Cold, grey, drizzly Tuesday, and it's not just grey here, it's also in Melbourne where the rain is falling. What a day. But it is the place when you can have 4 seasons in one day, and they've gone from one extreme to the other at the moment, from the extreme heat to the rain that's falling. But luckily, over the last few years, roofs have appeared, which means tennis can continue as Jabeur gets herself another opportunity to close out the game.
Advantage, Jabeur.
Swiftly into position, 28-year-old. First serve into the net, looking to go down the tee, and the ball boy scurries across the net, pick up the loose ball, then takes his place at the back of the court. Zidanšek plants her feet on the baseline. Now she's inside as she hits the off forehand, pushes Jabeur back onto the Melbourne side at the back of the court. Jabeur with a double-handed backhand. Now Jabeur can open up and sort of slice and squash shot that forehand cross court. Oh, side edge of the sideline from Zidanšek, who flips the ball cross court, but she misses out wide. It was a wonderful get from Jabeur, and she has done what Zidanšek couldn't, and that is consolidate her break. And she leads, as you heard there, by 4-1 after 25 minutes played. And I think, Coco, after a start when she was finding her feet and shaking off some nerves, Jabeur will be fairly satisfied with the position she finds herself in.
Definitely. You see the swing and emotion in each player's face from the start of Ons just being so dejected with herself, losing her serve early, but being able as a number 2 player in the world to bounce back, come back, and now showing some positive energy to herself, to her team, and doing fist pumps, slight little come-ons, and playing the game style that she likes to play, which is dictating with the forehand, finding space in the court, and absolutely coming into the net and closing and finishing points when she can.
Now, a player who booked her place in the second round early stage was wildcard Taylor Townsend. She beat Diane Parry 6-1, 6-1, her first win at the tournament since the birth of her first child. And afterwards, she spoke to the media about how she plays to inspire mums.
I think for me and my personal journey, I think that it was really important. And, my goal is just to try and inspire people and moms to show that, you can do whatever you want, having a child doesn't stop you from hustling, grinding, and just being great at whatever you want to do.
I've got to say, Coco, we talked about how inspirational Jabeur is, but to the mums out there, to Taylor Townsend, who's become a mum, she's juggling lots of things, and here she is out on tour winning and winning titles in the doubles and getting through in the singles.
Absolutely. I mean, Tay's awesome. I've known Tay for a long, long time, and she has such a different confidence about herself coming back from having a child, and her baby is so cute. Oh my gosh, he's just absolutely adorable, and she has done so well of just managing the expectations for herself, managing being a mother, dealing with the feelings of missing her baby, which I think has been the toughest thing for her.
And also that added thing of, I guess, wanting to do it. In her case, her son, wanting to make that difference. The half volley netted by Zidanšek. It was a great pass from Jabeur. You have different goals. And I'm sure for Taylor Townsend,
Love 30.
she misses her son so badly, but she knows she's out there providing for him, making him proud, doing all those kind of things that she wants to do for him.
Well, she definitely had a tough go of it, being a world #1 junior, winning junior Grand Slams, not really taking advantage of the situation brought upon her with that notoriety in making herself a successful pro. And it's not easy. She definitely had some backlash from the USTA, about what she was doing, how she was being a professional out there. And, all credit to her, and I'm so proud of her, is, doing it her way. She didn't need the federation to help her. She didn't need any backing behind her. And she just found a reason in her child to have the motivation to be a very successful professional.
Yeah, it's great to see, and actually follow her on Instagram. She does some great videos about the training, what she's going through. Her son features quite a lot. He is very cute. And dogs. Have they got dogs? She's got dogs as well.
Yes, she's got 2 dogs. I distinctly remember a video where everyone had a very much of a meltdown physically. The dogs were not feeling well, and the baby was not feeling well all in one day. And I don't wish that on myself.
You know what? I think I remember that too. There was a lot of melting down going on there, but great credit to Taylor Townsend. Wildcarded into the singles, recently picked up another title in the doubles, and she is through to the second round. Popped over by Zidanšek, who was trying not to touch the net. The lob from Jabeur will not find the court, and she looks so downcast, Jabeur, by not finding the court there, because she had an opening at love 30 in this game, but now it's game point for the Slovenian.
I mean, that's an example of a drop shot out of nowhere. She's on the dead stretch and is able to have the feel to hit a fantastic drop shot. Zidanšek is just there and able to keep the ball out in front of her, and Ons just mismanaged that volley trying to hit a lob.
Game point for 2-4. Listening to Tennis Breakfast, listening thoughts of former world #9 and Australian Open semi-finalist Coco Vandeweghe, as Jabeur just hooks that forehand cross-court and wide. And Tamara Zidanšek gets her second game of this first set on the board, but it is Jabeur still with the break, leading by 4-2. And we talked about this the other day, about the depth in American women's tennis. There has been for a few years at the moment, another great clutch of players. Do you find that you don't all have to be best friends, but do you find you spur each other on because you're all American, you're traveling around to the same tournaments, and you use it as an inspiration to push each other forward?
Absolutely, and this younger generation has done such a great job of being friends with each other in a way of camaraderie, where when I came out on tour, it was very different kind of mentality amongst players, where everyone kept to themselves and kind of just did their own thing, having their own team, and that was their support system. And I really had to work to find kind of my friendships out on tour, and I'm lucky to have great friends on tour now. But when I first came out as a young gun, it was very hard, and I would almost say shunned in a way.
Oh wow, I wanted to actually ask you that, because there's a lot of talk about how nice and almost too nice the locker room is these days, because you then want these rivalries on court. But have you noticed, especially since you've come back from injury, is there a change? Is there a different feeling in the locker room?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I was playing before my injury, I mean, you had Maria Sharapova in the locker room. You had Jelena Jankovic. You had Anna Ivanovic. I mean, Jelena had a house in San Diego, and she became actually a really good friend of mine. We still talk now. And Marion Bartoli, who had her own system of doing things, but she was a great mentor actually to me, and still congratulates me, texts me all the time. And she's definitely invested herself in helping the younger generation when she can. But it was definitely a very different feeling in the locker room. It was very quiet, very solemn, very much keep to yourself, hide whatever you're doing. And it's definitely not that way anymore.
Yeah, you named some big. I mean, Maria Sharapova would have terrified me in a locker room. I wouldn't have said. I'm not sure I could have brought myself to say hello. I mean, there's some big personalities that are in there.
No, there wasn't many hellos going around. Nods of acknowledgement. I was lucky. Venus and Serena were very friendly to me. Always said hello. When I had my run here at the Australian Open, Serena had a loss to Kerber, and she was defending champion. As I'm walking by her in the locker room, she's like, "You better cover that cross-court pass, because that's all Kerber does. And if you don't, you're going to have a word for me." I was like, "Got it. Cross-court. That's where it is."
Oh, that's amazing. It's a backhand volley from Jabeur Jabeur goes into the net. She'd weaved her way forward, Jabeur, but she just couldn't, almost just a little bit complacent with that volley, couldn't finish it off, and it's 30. But it is what you hear a lot more from this group of players. It's so friendly and everyone, and that is, I'm not saying we just want drama, and it is nice that everyone gets on, but it's weird that some people are saying it's almost too, if it can be, it's almost too friendly.
Oh, there's definitely still drama out there. Don't get me wrong. It's just a different feel of the top group of players. It's just a different atmosphere that they kind of bring. They're all able to practice with each other. But when I was coming up, I mean, you never got to see a practice with a top player. It just wasn't happening. They all had their hitting partners that they traveled with or hit with their coach. But now it's just so much more open.
Break point for Tamara Zidanšek, seemingly out of nowhere. Just a couple of loose errors from Jabeur and a chance for Zidanšek to get us back on serve in this first set. She plays the inside-out forehand. Zidanšek is inside. She's camped inside the baseline. Now she retreats us into the net. And that, by the high standards of Jabeur, was an error-strewn game, Coco. And we are back on serve 4-3 Jabeur.
Yeah, that was just a sloppy game. Going for shots for no reason on that volley that she missed. She just didn't have her feet moving through the volley. It was a bit of a slower ball, just went right back to her opponent. And on that last exchange of slices, changing direction when she doesn't need to. She has the advantage if she keeps that slice cross court. She's been having the advantage this whole set.
But that's interesting, isn't it? It's something that has been levelled at Jabeur, that these kind of games can creep in, and she starts kind of doing shots, and just as you said, they were not quite sure why she went for that shot selection, but it is something that, I don't, is it what do you think it could be, a lack of concentration? What do you put that down to? Because it does creep into her game.
No, I think it's more, you have to allow an artist kind of have some fluidity. You have to allow them to kind of make errors and make mistakes. I was very fortunate when I was coming up as a junior. Vic Braden was a very famous American coach in California, and he always talked to me and said, you know, your mind thinks you can do it, so you can do it, and you have the ability to make mistakes but also bounce back, but you have to trust yourself and back yourself out there. So I think Ons does that, and sometimes we look as, you know, the outsiders. I mean, you look perfect from inside the booth, but if she sees it and wants to do it, I have no problem with the freedom of, like, okay, go ahead and show us and prove to us that you can do it. But when you have to knuckle down in the 30-all point, you get back to just solid tennis, and she has that kind of trouble of just getting back to the solid tennis.
Let's see if she can provide some solidity to her game here, because she does have the lead on serve 4-3. She's got to look at a second serve from Zidanšek, but she balloons the ball, and that's the first real sign of frustration we saw just there from Jabeur.
Yeah, she just didn't get there to the backhand, let it float. She's, again, not comfortable when she's on the defensive. She wants to be the attacking player out there on the court, and right now, the last couple of points, she's kind of let that slip.
She slapped her thigh in frustration as Zidanšek. Wow, that was a wild first serve. Almost bounced at the feet of Jabeur, who's now camped inside the baseline. Put a little bit of pressure on this second serve, see what she can do. Ball kicks up, and it's the backhand cross got from Jabeur, who spins around, goes inside at the forehand, but she doesn't find the angle. She just looks down at her feet. Her head is bowed, and it's 30-love.
That was a good deep ball from Zidanšek, and it's interesting because Ons wants to be dictating with that forehand, but sometimes the opportunity just doesn't present itself. That ball was deep, it caught her late, and she wasn't able to bring that forehand down.
30-love. Serve down the tee, back into position, Jabeur, but then that ball once again is ballooned past the baseline and gain points for the Slovenian to level up at 4 games all in this first set. Puffs out her cheeks again, Jabeur, pacing backwards and forwards. Now settling as Zidanšek looks up from under the visor, then head down, bounces the ball, red face now with the exertion of the first 36 minutes of this first set. Jabeur creeps ever closer to the service line for this second serve, barely moving Jabeur. Now she's on her toes, plays the double-handed backhand up the line. The forehand is hooked cross-court. Down the line goes Jabeur, who keep it on the forehand and go off forehand. The backhand sits a little bit short from Zidanšek, but it worked. It's ballooned once again by Jabeur, who takes a big sigh, a fist pump from the Slovenian, and it's 4 games all.
That was a great change of direction with her backhand, not getting stuck in that backhand slice rally, able to take that backhand down the line, have Jabeur on the run, and she went to the squash shot, and the squash shot went long.
Getting a wonderful view of the Rod Laver Arena. I've seen some Serbian flags draped over the shoulders of fans waiting for their man, 9-time champion Novak Djokovic, who will be the second match of the night session. Rain falling out and about, which means the update of what's happening won't take too long, because there are only 3 matches on court, of which we will tell you. I can tell you Alex Simonov now 2 sets up in his match. Belinda Bencic and Victoria Tomova is just getting started. We, though, on the Rod Laver Arena at the business end of the first set, and Jabeur takes the first point of game number 9. Jabeur coming in with the inside-in winner. A little skip at the end of that shot.
Improvise as best as possible there.
Got the job done. Serve out wide from Jabeur. Serve does the job.
30.
Constantly pulling down the shorts that she's wearing under the shorts, the cycling shorts under the shorts, Jabeur. She's got blue sweatbands on both the left and the right wrist. The serve is working a treat for her, and she brings up triple game points.
41.
So to take the lead and to put the pressure on Zidanšek, who'll be serving to stay in the set, but that backhand is almost rolled by Jabeur into the net.
40-15.
Yeah, that just was a little bit lazy again with the footwork. Sometimes she just gets a little complacent, sets her feet a little bit too early. She needed one more step forward to get her weight transfer through the ball.
Serve down the tee. That was a heavy serve. It's a deep return. It's a high ball. It's a backhand place up line from Jabeur. Jabeur with the forehand down the other wing. The backhand more into the centre of the court from Zidanšek. And then, again, it didn't really feel like the feet were moving. She got a little bit bunched up and it's netted.
It's one of those things. Her backhand, her swing is so short and compact. You have to get the weight transfer because there's not much movement through the arms. So the only way you can get that ball through the court is with a good weight transfer. And when you're not moving your feet, you can't get that weight transferred through into the court.
Still got an opportunity to close out the game before it starts to become a little bit uncomfortable. Jabeur serve out wide. It's a looping long ball. It's a tiny little fist pump from Jabeur. Not exactly happy right now, but she has her nose in front on serve 5-4, 40 minutes played in the first set. And you talked about when you were first in the locker room, most of the players had their own hitting partners. There wasn't that much mixing. Something that's come into the game is a little bit more mixing between the WTA and the ATP in terms of hitting with each other. And I think, was it Jessica Pegula said that she started hitting with Francis Tiafoe because he's just so laid back and he's really relaxed, and it's kind of a nice way to practice. And I think since they've been practicing together, neither of them have lost a match.
Hey, whatever works. If you got to stick with the routine, and if you're superstitious, you can't break the routine. But Foe's awesome. Foe is like my little brother, and he's so fun to be around. And Jess is probably the best practice he's going to see out there. She doesn't miss a ball, and she hits it so deep and heavy. So I'm glad to see that kind of camaraderie between the Americans and also the men's and women's tour kind of coming together and having those experiences together.
Are you superstitious?
Absolutely. I don't know how you couldn't be as a professional. I mean, there's so many things you can get superstitious. Now, I'm not quite like a Nadal standard of superstition, but there's definitely things that I need to have set and done in order to be, happy with.
Okay, what are your main ones
going on?
What are your big ones?
Oh, I just don't like stepping on lines. That's just a big no for me. I don't like collecting the balls inside the court. I have to be outside the court, and I could talk this whole match about superstitions if I wanted to. But those are two big ones that I have.
But then I kind of wonder, how do you actually get about focusing on the job in hand of playing when you're worrying about all these other things?
It's not so much as worry. I mean, it's kind of almost calming. Where I know I have to do these things in order to be ready to go and to play. It's kind of, more like a meditation in a way, where you just kind of get in the rhythm, and this is my rhythm.
Yeah. And are you the type of, if you eat at a restaurant and you win a match, you have to go back to that restaurant until you lose?
Oh no, I'm not that crazy. Once I'm off the court, it's kind of more loose. I did have a fun Australian Open when I had that great run. I like to joke around with my team, and so what we would do is whatever country I beat, we would try to find a restaurant that represented that country, and I would eat that food. So it became a good fun game. I mean, you have to be loose and relaxed and enjoy yourself out here, otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy.
Oh wow, yeah. That would have been quite fun after that. Right, where are we going this evening? I'm trying to think, who was on your run? Which kind of cuisine were you eating during that run in 2017?
I hit a Spanish cuisine in beating Muguruza. I had to find a German spot for beating Kerber. It was interesting to try and find that all in Melbourne, but luckily being in a big city, you're going to be able to find at least an idea of what it would be.
30,
Love that.
15.
At your hotel reception. So I really need a German restaurant. No, I really need a German restaurant. Okay. There isn't no, but I need one. Okay, fine. Whatever works.
The strange looks you get when it's like, German food? That's what you want? Yeah, get me a schnitzel. Let's go.
30-15, Zidanšek. So Jabeur might need to find some Slovenian cuisine should she come through, or for Zidanšek it might be Tunisian. 30-15, inside the baseline. Tamara, Zidanšek into the net come Jabeur. Does enough to draw the error and to level up at 30-all. Remember, Zidanšek is serving to
30-all.
stay in the first set at 4-5.
This is a super pressure-filled game. Whenever you're serving from behind, especially now serving to stay in the set, you feel the pressure. You know the score line, and you know that if you make one little blip of an error that, you can be down a set really quickly.
Zidanšek winning more points between the 5 and 9 shot range. They're pretty level below 5 shots, and Jabeur just edging it when it goes above 9. What a beauty off the racket of Jabeur. Nothing that Zidanšek could do about that, and it's set points.
30-14.
Absolutely nothing. She ran around, got out of the way of this body serve, and hit the backhand inside out. It's a great play and a great return.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot. So an opportunity for Jabeur, the world number 2, to get a set on the board. Serve out wide, the backhand's in place. Zidanšek sweeps it back to the backhand, the slice now of Jabeur, whose racket clips the floor on the switch. That's clever play from Zidanšek to put Jabeur on the stretch, get her off balance and draw the error.
Yes, Tamara did a great job right there, finding her forehand off of the slice. And again, I've said this a few times, the slice is not hurting you. And if it's staying low, obviously you can't do much with it. But that one floated a little bit. It was about hip height, and she was able to get it up and down with the inside in.
Juice, set point saved, serve out wide. Good low return round the net post, backhand cross court. Oof. Good shot, followed by a not so good shot from Jabeur, who sort of shakes out her arm, looks down at the court, and it's game point for 5-all.
You got to try and blame anything else but yourself. I mean, we're all perfect out here. So it's the court, it's the balls, you got to be perfect.
Game point for Zidanšek. She's going to keep herself in this first set, and she does so. It is 5 games all. Now, is it true what a few tennis players have told me, that when you get tired, or to buy yourself a little bit more time, you will, sometimes we see a player and they bounce the ball and it rolls off their foot, hits their shoe and rolls off. And I said, well, that's a bit casual. I said, no, we do it on purpose. We would never intentionally do that. It just buys us a little bit more time.
Oh, geez, I haven't heard that one. That's actually, I mean, if you're talented enough to bounce that off your toe, I used to have such a problem with that when I was a kid learning and going into my lessons with Taylor's dad, Guy Fritz. I got tossed off the court a couple times because he thought I was actually doing it on purpose, and I was like, no, Guy, I didn't mean to bounce it off my toe like that.
5 games all, 15 love on Jabeur. Missed the tournament last year, and as Reem was saying, she's got a good opportunity in some tournaments to pick up some points. A lot of people defending about her back injury, so couldn't play in the Australian Open last year. She could say this is a free swing in terms of gathering points for Jabeur, the opposite end of the draw from world number 1 Iga Świątek. But as we talked about, Belinda Bencic, who is already a break-up against Tomova in her match, and Sabalenka, who's gone through. There's dangers floating around this draw, but all the points she gains are just additions, not defending anything on Jabeur. And that's another, because sometimes that can be, we talked about the points, that weight of expect. I mean, Matteo Berrettini today, I mean, he was defending semi-final points against Andy Murray. It's probably not the first thing he thought of when he left the court, but it's something that will be reflected in his ranking.
Definitely, and I mean it's the good and bad of a long year. You have a long amount of time to, you know, kind of bounce back in the ATP tournaments coming up and kind of maybe collect a few more tournament points and maybe play an extra tournament or two to add to make up for the Australian Open points that you have lost. But our points for the WTA are so big in the Grand Slams that you really want to perform well at Grand Slams because it gives you such a cushion going into the rest of the year.
Yeah, it certainly does. And as you say, just gives you the opportunity to scoop up points elsewhere, so it's not as traumatic when it rolls around again and you've got an awful lot of points to defend. A hold for Jabeur. She is someone who will look at her box, so she has a little glance up, and 6-5. So you're saying that on court very superstitious, but off court, apart from on that run in the restaurants, there aren't things that need to be done or you need to wear or do a certain thing, even on a good run.
Oh, no. I have to have some sort of relaxation and kind of like a mental switch off moment. So when I'm off the court, I'm back basically thinking I'm in San Diego. I'm back to what I normally would do. I mean, obviously I'm not out and about. I'm kind of putting my feet up and recovering as much as possible. And I'm a heavy sweater, so that recovery is mostly just hydrate, drink the electrolytes, drink the waters, and at some point you just get so sick of drinking water, it's like I just want anything else.
Are you good at switching off? Are you good at not dwelling on what's gone before?
Absolutely. I think I've been able to find my rhythm in it, and I'm lucky that I've had a great team around me and various different people, and being able to switch off and talk to my friends. I mean, I know it's difficult when you're on odd time zones and you only get your friends for a couple hours of the day, or your family for a couple hours of the day, but hopefully you get the FaceTimes done, you get the text messages sent, and the videos and memes sent around.
5-6. Zidanšek is serving to stay in the set for a second time. A lady called Claire on Twitter has tweeted a picture of herself, and she said, "I'd just like to go on record as saying I've never seen Andy Murray lose a match in person at the Australian Open. 100% record, 8 matches, 8 victories."
15 months.
So I think, well, we just need to keep Claire at the Australian Open, really.
Andy just needs to keep giving her a ticket. That's what he needs to do.
Anyone give her a ticket. I mean, let's just get her in there. It's going to be, I mean, if it's Kokkinakis next, A, it's a big court, but B, the crowd for that match. And if it's Fognini, although we don't have line judges for him to yell at, that's going to have a little bit of spice to it as well.
Yeah, Fognini always brings a little bit of flavor to a match, but whenever you're playing an Australian at their home slam, it's always super interesting. You're always battling the crowd, and I mean, it's fun, but at some point it's just like, man, I want like maybe 2 people to root for me, but I'm sure Andy will have his supporters out here and cheering him on to victory, whoever he plays.
Yeah, we're going to try and get Claire back in there as well, because she's obviously, it's obviously a lucky charm. Right, 30 love, 5-6. Looks like this one's going to go down to the tie break. Takes the serve early inside the baseline. Jabeur with the forehand swings it cross court to the serve side. Another forehand from Jabeur going cross court, trying to get it out of the reach of Zidanšek. Then she pushes deep into the other wing. The ball is up. It's not high enough from Zidanšek. It was good of her to reach it, but it just wasn't high enough. And Jabeur at 5'6", no problems, into the open court and gets herself on the board.
I mean, the way Ons just hits those cross-court forehands, she hits so flat and doesn't have much margin on her ball, which makes it so tough because it goes through the court so well. And just how she hugs and runs the baseline, it makes it hard to defend.
30-15 into the net. And at the end of this set, we'll run you through what has taken place today. In terms of players who've gone through, the headlines if you're just waking up at 9:49 on a Tuesday morning. Forehand down the line from Jabeur, good and deep. It comes back through the centre of the court, the backhand into the centre from Zidanšek, and then it's whipped cross court. A beauty of an angle from Jabeur.
That was great patience by Ons. She just kept peppering into the backhand corner. giving herself the opportunity to get that little bit of a shorter ball. And I love the way she moves forward from hopping onto her left foot and hitting the ball, transitioning back onto the left foot to have a smooth transition into the net.
52 minutes played, 10-9 in the evening in Melbourne. A day of sunshine, extreme sunshine and heat and showers. 5-6-30 all. Novak Djokovic to come here on the Rod Laver Arena. As Jabeur steps in, takes this very early, swings that forehand into the corner. She goes down the line now, following it up. She's got Zidanšek on the run, the squeak of the shoes of Jabeur that you can hear, looking to bring up set point. She's already had one, but this will be the first in this game. She slices and floats that ball up the line. Jabeur cuts and slices. Oh, she nets. Not enough height on the ball, and it's the fist pump from the Slovenian. Game point.
Just a little too cute there on that second slice backhand cross court. She was doing such a great job of keeping Tamara just moving side to side and just having the game on Ans's racket, and she just was a little too cute there.
So a point for the tiebreak. Zidanšek serves down the tee, the forehand off forehand, stops about the middle of the court, the forehand swept cross court from Jabeur, who opens up the down line. She drives the forehand out of the air, a little skip to end the point, a pump of the fist, and it's deuce.
That was a great point from Ans. She kept the ball in front of her, kept it cross court, high percentage, and Ans does so well when she's playing cross court, which is just taking time away from her opponent each and every time and finishing at the net.
Drove that ball out of the air off the forehand side right into the corner. Fist pump from her husband, Karim. And a couple of points away from the first set. Narrows the eyes, Jabeur. She leans forward and looks across, and an apology for a ball toss that she wasn't happy with, the Slovenian, so she resets herself. Up it goes again, the ball. Oof, misses out wide, so Jabeur will take a couple of steps further forward just to let her opponent know that she is here and ready to capitalise on anything that might drop short. Jabeur runs around the backhand, hits the forehand through into the middle of the court. The cross-court slice from Jabeur, the slice from Zidanšek, slicing each other cross-court. At the moment, the racket clips the court from Zidanšek. Zidanšek swivels around, goes inside out to the slice, which goes wide from Jabeur, and it is a point for the tiebreak.
Ans just being a little bit too complacent. I know she likes to hit that slice backhand, but when you're in this tight situation, you gotta take it. You gotta take it away from your opponent, especially with the game that Ans has.
Little cry of go Tamara, both players with their respective support. Point. The tiebreak to decide who'll take this first set. Oh, that was a loud electronic line call. Just to make sure we heard it. The crowd settles. Zidanšek serves down the tee. The stretch on the forehand with Jabeur, who's out of position, but she gets back with the slice back and the off forehand approach from Zidanšek, who plays the half volley. Oh, it drops over. That's cute. But it's flipped back over and deep from Jabeur for the winner.
That's not a situation that you want to get Ans in a little cat and mouse dink fest. I can't say you're going to come out being a winner in those situations each and every time.
It was a little dink fest. Zidanšek does like to mix things up, but she's playing someone who excels in that department and scooped it back cross-court deep for the winner. Lovely little slide from Jabeur up towards the net. Deuce. Backhand return from Jabeur, 5-6. Zidanšek serving. Net found off the backhand wing from Jabeur, and it's game point.
I know the intention of taking that backhand down the line to get into the forehand cross rallies is what Ans wants to do, but she's so dead on the run. It's just get it back cross court, bide your time, and wait for a better opportunity.
Zidanšek, whose face is now bright red with the exertions of this match. The net post is hit. There's a little apology from Ans. He wasn't trying to hit anyone, but it ricocheted off the net post. I think it actually missed the ball boy, but he gets a little apology anyway. And we have a tie-break on our hands. So Ons Jabeur had the advantage. She got the break. She had an opportunity to close out the set. But it comes down to the tie-break. And what I've been impressed with, Coco, about Zidanšek is the composure. She hasn't changed, no emotion. She's just gone about her business and dealt with everything that's come her way.
Absolutely. It's been fantastic to see that even though she was up a break, lost a break, down a break, got it back, it's the ebbs and flows of a match, and it's how well you handle the ups and downs.
3 minutes shy of an hour on court. It is Jabeur who kicks us off in this first set tiebreak. Forehand cross court to the service line from Jabeur. Oh, looking to play the drop shot and cut under the ball. Zidanšek, she finds the net, and it's the Tunisian who's up and running. She wipes away the sweat with a sweatband on the left wrist.
Tamara almost wanted to out Ons on that one. A dead stretch forehand going for a dropper. I mean, why not if you got the feel?
It wasn't too far off. Little look up and look down. High ball toss. Ball sits up in the centre of the box, and Jabeur knows she should have done better with that.
1-all.
Wants a little monologue to herself towards her box. Backhand in play through the centre of the court. Inside in goes Zidanšek. Cross court goes Jabeur. Long goes Zidanšek. And what do you feel, Coco, that Jabeur is most frustrated with at the moment?
I feel that she's most frustrated with the fact that she hasn't been able to burst through in this set. She's had her opportunity, she's let it slip. She hasn't really taken advantage of the moment that's been presented. I mean, if you're the number 2 player in the world and you're up a break, you got to finish out the set. You can't keep letting your opponent back into the match. And unfortunately, Ons has done that here and is now stuck in a tiebreaker.
2-1, she has the advantage. Serve down the tee, short ball, she comes forward, she scoops it over. Zidanšek goes right at the body of Jabeur, then the lob from Zidanšek, the over, misses from Jabeur. She cannot believe it, hands on hips, she can see a close call, the decision will not change, the point goes to the Slovenian.
That was great hands by Tamara. I mean, just making Ons hit that volley. She followed it by moving forward and took the second ball out of the air, taking time away from Ons at the net.
Jabeur serves down the tee, it's bunted back and long, and now it's the first bit of emotion from Zidanšek, who has a word with herself.
I think Tamara there just, I mean, for me, she needs to make the return. She needs to let Ons play. Ons has been chirping this whole set of just, you know, frustration and anger at herself, and so you just got to make the return, make her play, especially when you're playing someone that has a decent serve. Just getting the return back sometimes is frustrating enough to deal with when you have a good serve.
Zidanšek runs around the backhand, plays the inside out forehand. Now she scampers forward with the backhand, she scoops it up. Oh! Lovely little dink and placement from the Slovenian, who is growing in confidence, and we are locked at 3 points apiece in this tiebreak.
That is not easy to do. Running forward, having to finesse that ball up the line and get it up and down is under this extreme pressure in a tiebreaker. That is great nerve by Tamara.
Wow. Ball just landing behind the outstretched Jabeur. Fist bump towards the camp on this occasion from the Slovenian, who's liking what she is seeing. She started playing tennis at a very young age, as her dad was part of a ski program, Tamara Zidanšek, and skied through the winter and played tennis in the summer. Skiing fell by the wayside, and tennis has continued, reaching that career high of 22 around this time last year. Serve cuts that second serve, it drops a little bit short. Jabeur gets into the point. Jabeur with a high backhand brought down through the middle of the court. The off forehand from Jabeur, the backhand swung cross court from Zidanšek. Zidanšek takes her hand off the backhand slicer, inside in into the corner goes Jabeur. Beautiful placement from the Tunisian.
Just a little too complacent at the start of that rally from Tamara. She has the advantage. She's got to consolidate the advantage here in the tiebreaker and just kept that ball through the middle. And Ons is too good of a player. She had a nice little angle on that backhand to open up the opportunity for the forehand to go to the open court.
10 o'clock in the morning in the UK, 9 p.m. local time in Melbourne. An hour and 1 minute of this match as Jabeur serves out wide, gets mid-court return. She tried to play the 1-2 punch, but mid-court she misses it. It goes long and it's 4-all.
Just a little too high on that forehand. She needed to stay down, threw the ball, and she kind of jumped up when she was hitting it and just caused it to be overcooked long.
Lots of pensive looking faces in the respective boxes right now. 4 points apiece, 6 games all. First set tiebreak. Zidanšek on the baseline plays the double-handed backhand through the middle of the court. The backhand is swung cross-court. The slice cross-court floated from Zidanšek. Inside-out forehand from Jabeur. Slice from Zidanšek. Inside-out from Jabeur. It's long and it's loose from Jabeur. There's a fist bump from Zidanšek, who leads 5-4.
5-4.
That was just not a smart play from Ons. She's just going straight back into the backhand, straight back into the backhand. She hasn't really shown much consistency in this set. If she's going to take advantage, she's got to take it from Tamara, not just be complacent and happy to be in a rally.
It's a 13th unforced error off the forehand side, Jabeur, compared to 6 for Zidanšek, who could close out this set with these next 2 points. Into the centre of the box with a serve, and she brings up set points.
Ons has to knuckle down. She has to make this return and say to Tamara, let's see what kind of nerve you have.
First of the 2 set points will be on the Slovenians' serve. This to take the first set against the world number 2. World number 98, ready to serve now at 6-4. Serve goes down the tee, the backhand through the middle of the court, the off forehand, that sits up for Jabeur to bring down backhand cross-court. Oh, side edge of the sideline from Jabeur, and the first set point saved.
6-5.
What's so difficult about handling Ons' backhand is it stays so flat. It doesn't give you much space. You have to create the up and down and get the clearance over the net, and that's not always easy to do. You have to have a lot of rack ahead speed to be able to do it consistently.
Second set point for Zidanšek, but now it's Jabeur with the serve, and Jabeur thunders the first serve into the net. So Zidanšek creeps a little bit closer to that baseline, saying, come on then, what have you got on the second serve? Set point Zidanšek. Zidanšek comes in, squash shots the forehand, it drops over, Jabeur is brought into the net, Jabeur is at the net, can she pass her? Jabeur plays the volley, here comes Zidanšek, she reaches it, the court is open, Jabeur wins the point, and the second set point is saved.
Great hands at the net from Ons, just keeping calm, hitting the approach, hitting the volley. I was just, man, I was tight just watching that.
2 set points saved for Tamara Zidanšek in this tiebreak. The players will change ends once again. Over an hour of this first set. It's great entertainment for this Rod Laver Arena crowd. But she fights on Jabeur, and there was that stare after that second set point was saved towards her box. Coach Issam Jalil just puffs out his cheeks as he stands up. Jabeur serves out wide, it's chopped back, Jabeur inside the baseline, now retreats behind the baseline, now she comes forward, now she has to go back again, but it is long from Zidanšek, and now it's set point in this tiebreak to Jabeur on the serve of Tamara Zidanšek.
That's such a great play. It's a fantastic 1-2 punch. A serve out wide, you got your opponent outside the tram lines, and now you have a big open court to hit into, and it has your opponent just stretching and reaching. There's nothing they can do with that.
Jabeur had a set point to the main body of the set in the 10th game. Now she has her second, but her first in this tiebreak to close out the first set with an hour and 5 minutes on the clock. Backhand cross-court, inside out. Oh, that was a peach of a shot from the Slovenian.
Where did that come from? We haven't seen that all set. She was desperate to hit that forehand. She was almost doing like a Matteo Berrettini, just hiding that backhand and running all the way around to find that forehand. But credit to Tamara, that was a heck of a shot.
Wow. That was a rocket. She rifled that ball. And it saves the set point. So 2 set points apiece. Who gets the next one? It is Zidanšek. But it will be off the serve of Jabeur.
That body serve has been causing Ons a lot of trouble. She's not getting her feet out of the way. She needs to make the choice. Is she going to hit the backhand on the body serve or the forehand? What you normally like to do on the deuce side is to try and find the forehand because it gets you back into the middle of the court.
Set point number 3 for Tamara Zidanšek. Jabeur misses the first serve. She went big into the body of the first serve and she missed. She takes her time. Zidanšek stands upright, plants her feet on the baseline, a chance to close out the first set against the world number 2. Second serve out wide. The backhand spins as in play. The backhand cross-court from Jabeur. The backhand sort of swung in deep. She's pushing Jabeur back. Now the slice from Zidanšek. Jabeur spins around and goes inside out with the forehand. Jabeur with the forehand goes inside in. Zidanšek slams that forehand cross-court, scoops into the backhand. Jabeur steps back into the forehand. She goes off forehand angle, and she's got it. Wow, that was a tight angle. She finds it, and the set point is saved.
On standing and delivering on that forehand. Tamara just kind of slicing that ball got her into a lot of trouble early into that rally and just lost her neutral position and went on the defensive. But man, credit to Ons for standing and delivering with that forehand.
Wow, we have had 5 set points, 3 of them for the Slovenian, 2 for Jabeur, 1 for Jabeur in this tiebreak, 8 points apiece. Jabeur with the serve, 1 hour and 7 minutes on the clock. It's just the first set. Jabeur settles herself now, serves down the tee. She crunches that forehand Zidanšek when she catches it, doesn't she? Down the line she goes again. Up the line goes Jabeur. Cross court and wide goes Zidanšek, and it is set point for Jabeur. It will be her third, but it will be on the serve of the Slovenian 9-8.
That wasn't an easy backhand down the line. That was kind of a little bit of a go for broke moment. She was on the dead run, but caught Tamara leaning the wrong way, and she just mistimed that forehand.
So here we go, set point number 3 for the world number 2. A few words of instruction coming from the sidelines, from the box. Zidanšek ready to serve. Set point Jabeur. Oof.
That was tight.
That was tight. Oh. Jabeur, eyes widened a little bit, stepping inside the baseline. Here she comes with the backhand down the line. Zidanšek swings, goes back up the line. It's long! It is long! And Jabeur closes out the first set after 1 hour and 7 minutes at the 3rd time of asking. The fist pumping Coco continues because that was tough. It was hard fought, but Jabeur gets the job done. 7-6 in the tiebreak.
That return right there is taking the moment away from your opponent and stepping in, second serve, taking it line, which is a little bit lower percentage, but if you can execute it, you get such an easier ball. And then that one was just an unforced error from Tamara.
The voice of Coco van der Wey, former world number 9, here with us in the commentary box. You are listening to Tennis Breakfast. It's day 2 of the Australian Open, and here on the Rod Laver Arena, it is advantage to the world number 2, Jabeur.
Welcome to Tennis Breakfast, live from Melbourne on 5 Sports Extra.
And if you're just joining us, you are just waking up, here is some good news for you, because Andy Murray is through to the second round after a thrilling 4 hour and 49 minute 5-set victory over Matteo Berrettini.
This for the biggest win of Andy Murray's second career post hip surgery. Forehand clipped off the top of the net and it dribbles over. Andy Murray gets the lock. After 4 hours and 49 minutes, it's a tough way for Matteo Berrettini to end, but Andy Murray deserved that.
And for more British joy, Dan Evans also progressed to the second round with a 4-set victory over Facundo Bagnis, and that was either side of the delay with the heat rule in 4-6-4, 4-6, 6-4, 6-4. So 4 Brits through to round 2. Sasha Zverev, the 12th seed, came through a 5-setter to beat the lucky loser Juan Pablo Varillas. Taylor Fritz beat Niklas Basilashvili in 4 sets. Andre Rublev came through comfortably against Dominic Thiem. And in the women's draw, Karolina Pliskova is through. She is joined by Leila Fernandez, who came through against Elise Cornet, and Elise Mertens came through in 3 sets to defeat Garbine Muguruza. Also wins for Camilla Giorgi and Taylor Townsend. The play has been suspended currently due to the bad weather outside, but we have roofs on 3 of the courts. We have play that continues. We have a night session commentary for you, and we are all set for the second set of our Rod Laver Arena focal match. World number 2 Jabeur against Tamara Zidanšek, in the company of Coco van der Wey and David Law.
Thank you very much, Gigi. What a treat that was to watch. Didn't think much could live up to what we saw from Andy Murray earlier on, but that was right up there. Thrilling set of tennis. Set points on either side of the net. Tamara Zidanšek has got to put behind her the fact that she had all of those opportunities and pushed Jabeur so well, but Jabeur just stood up to the plate when it mattered most and delivered. And now she's intent, I think, Coco, on having a rather more serene time in set 2.
That's definitely what you look forward to, is hopefully having an easier time, using the momentum that you've created, winning that really close tiebreaker, saving set points, and now you just have to show pressure in this first game and show that you're here to kind of consolidate the effort that you put into that first set.
Coco van der Wey here with us on 5 Sports Extra. Coco, who reached the semi-finals of this tournament a few years ago, had a fantastic run. I seem to remember you beating Garbine Muguruza here.
I did. I beat her pretty bad too.
Yeah, you did.
Modesty.
I enjoyed your celebration afterwards. And,
I don't remember what it was.
was it a Michael Jordan one?
I don't know.
One of those little shrugs he used to give when he just used to destroy everybody. Anyway, 15-all. And first set on a tiebreak to Jabeur. 30-15 now for Zidanšek, who's just in front of us and bouncing the ball up and down. Serves down onto the forehand of Jabeur, who nets. Do you think it might free her up a bit, Jabeur? The fact that she really hit out when she was set point down at the end there and delivered. Might that help her in the second set of this?
Definitely, and plus, right now she has the cushion of the first set. It'd be a different conversation if she was down a set. She's still not feeling too happy about her game, but now that she has a set, and at least Tamara's service game, she has the ability to kind of hit out a little bit more, dictate it a little bit earlier in the point, because she proved to herself that that's what worked. That's what won her the set, when she was being complacent, not really moving her feet, allowing Tamara to just kind of be in these rallies. She was on the losing end of most of those rallies.
I attended the press conference before the tournament of Jabeur, and she was so interesting to listen to. She's always interesting to listen to, quite honestly. Winning the first set on the tiebreak, 1-love down in the second. Good first serve there to go 15-love up, and she doesn't shy away from informing us of her ambitions and what she intends to achieve at some point during the year. She said, I want to be world number one. It's really that simple. I've got to number 2. I've got to Grand Slam finals. I want to be number 1. It's none of this one match at a time stuff, which obviously players have to focus on as she hits a forehand away. But she said she had a screensaver on her phone. She said she wouldn't tell us which trophy it was, but there's a trophy on it.
Maybe it's the Australian Open trophy. I mean, that's the tournament we're at, so yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe at the end of the tournament, maybe she'll show us the screensaver of what it was.
Nice slice backhand brings her into the net, and she wins the point as Zidanšek's backhand doesn't clear the net. Got some quite heavy tape on the knee. That right knee has Jabeur, but she's moving well enough here as she tries to chip her little backhand drop shot cross court, but misses it. It's kind of like her trademark, the drop shot, isn't it? I don't think I'll ever forget the great visual of her playing doubles with Serena Williams at Eastbourne last year, and Serena came in for one almighty backhand put away, and before she could get to the ball, Jabeur just stepped across and just finessed a little drop shot instead to win the point, as she comes in and plays a little backhand volley cross court that has caught the very outside edge of the line, and Jabeur holds for 1 game apiece.
1 game.
Raise of the eyebrows from Jabeur as she sees the replay was very close, maybe a little too accurate on the line there. I think she'd happily put that about 2 feet inside the baseline.
I think we all would be happier if it was a little bit further away from the line. A winner's a winner. It doesn't matter if it's on the line or not.
Do you actually aim for lines? I mean, is it that specific when you go for a shot like that, or are you aiming for an area about a foot inside? I
mostly aim in an area. I have done a lot of drills in my career where I make a little kind of corner box. It's about 2 feet by 2 feet, and just try and hit into that box as many times as I possibly can to move on to the next drill. And it helps me kind of lock in, zone in of where the area is in my mind. I mean, if it hits the line, it hits the line, but that's definitely not where I'm aiming. Right. You don't get extra points for hitting the line.
No. And do you think that's fairly typical of players to do it the way you've described, or are there certain players you reckon that literally are trying to hit lines?
I don't know. Maybe Ons is. She has a lot less margin for error than maybe I do on shot clearance and that. But it's really kind of how you're trained when you're young, and also what is your game and how it's developing. It's for me, what I was looking for in my early stages of my career in junior development was getting depth on the ball. That was a big talking point for my coaches, was depth, and for me, that has allowed me to kind of have maybe a bigger margin because I get it so deep in the court. When you're hitting a little bit shorter, maybe you have to have a smaller window that you can hit into. But for me, that was a big focus of mine.
Coco Vanderway here with us on 5 Sports Extra as a nice backhand is put away from Tamara Zidanšek off a Jabeur drop shot, actually, and she's not quite got the feel and the range on that shot in the way she normally does just at the moment, Jabeur. It's been some 12 months for her, though, as she chips her little forehand down the centre and moves to her left. Netted forehand by Zidanšek. 7-6 first set, Jabeur, and 1 game all in the second set. And when she arrived at the French Open last year, Jabeur, a lot of hype because she'd had such a good run winning Madrid, and then lost in the first round in the French Open. But as disappointed as she was, she gave such a compelling and convincing press conference afterwards that made you feel as though it's not a disaster. And sure enough, she was in the Wimbledon final a few weeks later.
Yeah, sometimes it is those tough losses, or at least those bad losses for you personally, that create such good momentum moving forward because you want it that much more. You're that much hungrier. I had a really bad loss at Wimbledon in 2017 in the quarterfinals. I was looking ahead in the draw and just kind of forgot the moment that I was in, and I was so disappointed in myself because I felt like I personally let myself down, and it brought so much more, just effort into my practices, effort into my matches, where I wanted people to see and feel that, I'm here to destroy everybody and watch out coming into the US Open.
Lovely little fading backhand just over the net from Jabeur, very well handled by Zidanšek, and it's 40-30 for her. Is that the year that you reached the semi-finals of the US Open?
Yes, correct.
I remember, yeah. So you did exactly what you set out to do, goodness. So that year you reached 2 Grand Slam semi-finals.
Yes, 2 Grand Slam semis and quarters at Wimbledon.
That's fantastic. Backhand down the line is just out by Zidanšek. Coached by our very own Pat Cash, who's a regular here on 5 Live Sports Extra in that year, weren't you, in 2017?
Yes, Pat joined my team about halfway through after the French. I had a very bad loss at the French. I haven't gotten past the second round there, but it's not my tournament, but it's all right. Pat was a great coach for me in that period of time, and we had a lot of fun and a lot of success together.
1 game all, and deuce. Zidanšek at the far end of the court serves onto the forehand from Jabeur, who now hits her forehand inside out from the centre of the court and then chips her back across court. She's just got so many options really as Jabeur, but she's off balance as she hits that 2-handed backhand at halfway of the net and looks really nonplussed with how that went.
It was just a little bit too complacent of a point. She's been doing that all match, where it's just, she has flashes of where she's just aggressive and moving forward and taking the ball on the rise, which she does so well. And then there's patches where she's just complacent with her footwork, complacent with her shot selection, and just doesn't execute and blow this match wide open.
2-1 for Zidanšek as that backhand hits the net from Ons Jabeur, and it's not really gone the way I thought this second set might. I thought perhaps having got that first set on the board, we might see a real acceleration away from Jabeur, but it's still very close, and Zidanšek's part of that. Yeah,
Tamara's a great player in her own right. I know her ranking has fallen, but she was top 30 in the world, and as we've seen in these last couple months and years, that anyone can beat anyone on any given day, and she's hanging tough. She's kind of managing the situation that's in front of her, which isn't easy to do on a center court, and I would imagine it's her first time on Rod Laver Arena.
Yeah, and that fabulous run to the semi-finals of the French Open a couple of years ago, so she's been on a big stage, but not this one in quite this way. And Jabeur really blossomed last year. She went on and reached the final of the US Open, which in some ways I thought was even more of an achievement, because she wasn't in great form as she started that event, and she just sort of built her way into it and ended up going all the way.
I mean, that's the crazy thing about Grand Slams, is you never know what's going to happen. I've gone into Grand Slams where I wasn't winning many matches, and then for whatever reason it just clicks, whether it's the hype of playing in front of the crowd, the hype of being at a slam that you really enjoy, or just, you're just so tired of losing, you're like, screw it, I'm just going to close my eyes and say, I'm going to win this darn thing.
15.
Must be a nice frame of mind to go into a match with. Just go for it. 1-2 down is Jabeur here, but 15 love ahead, far end of the court from where we look. What do you make of our vantage point here, Coco?
It's definitely a really cool vantage point. I have sat in the stands a couple times. I watched Bethany Maddox stands in mixed doubles final in the stands, and it's definitely a nicer vantage point down here. Yeah,
we are floor level. We're basically on the court. We are standing or sitting right next to the ball kids. And last time I was here 3 years ago, there would have been a huge issue sitting in my particular chair because there would have been a line judge stood right backside to me. But there's Hawkeye Live now, so we don't have to worry about that. Here is a backhand cross-court from Zidanšek. Forehand cross-court by Jabeur. It's 30 love, 1-2 down. Now she'll swipe at an inside-out forehand. How about that shot? Right onto the line.
Fantastic hitting from Ons. It's a great point for her to get the confidence to be able to swing out and keep dictating with the forehand. I can't stress it enough. When Ons is dictating with that forehand, she is on the winning side of most of the points.
Backhand return down the middle from Zidanšek. Forehand cross-court with a grunt from Jabeur, but then she gets the backhand slice wrong. Stubs it into the ground. I'm familiar with that sort of slice from when I have a go at playing tennis.
Tamara just got that forehand on the stretch a little bit deeper than I think Ons was expecting.
This for 2 games all for Jabeur. Says that wide onto the forehand, crashed back at her with the forehand by Zidanšek, but that one goes long, and this is 2 games all. Jabeur has everything shot-wise, doesn't she, in terms of options? She has so many shots. Is it more difficult to package a game like that? I'm thinking about Ash Barty. You know, she figured that out and she packaged everything. She was telling us in her book the other day that she's got 5 different types of slice backhand.
Okay, I haven't read her book, but I should text her and be like, what is the deal with 5 different slices?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I mean, you can kind of fade a slice and go drive through a slice a little bit, but 5, I gotta find out the secret to the 5.
The short one and the floater and the knifed one. I don't know. I'm just making it up. But anyway, you ask her. She knows more than me. But she didn't. She came up with a kind of concoction that works, a formula.
Well, that's the thing when you see players transition from being, top 30, top 20, and not really making inroads into Grand Slams, and then all of a sudden they have a huge pop of success. It's what they figured out works. Is it, do I hit the slice as a change of pace? Do I come over with the 2 hands? Am I looking for forehands more? And you find the rhythm of that and what works in your game. For me, it was so easy and prevalent that when I was following shots up behind my first serve and taking balls out of the air and hitting volleys and kind of having really good transitions behind my shots moving forward, it put so much pressure on my opponents. And if I was executing that well, it was the kind of catalyst of my game of success.
Yeah, makes sense. Forehand cross court just missed by Jabeur, and Zidanšek moves to 40-15. 2 games all in the second set. I'm wondering what the weather's like outside now, because we've got the big roof on. I missed 5 hours of what it was like outside because I was in here commentating on Andy Murray, and when I came into the commentary box, it was the hottest day that I've experienced here in a long time. 36 degrees Celsius, over 100 Fahrenheit for Coco.
Thank you.
And when I left the commentary box to go and have a lie down after the Andy Murray match, there was an apocalyptic storm going on. And there was gale force winds, there was driving rain. Then I went and had a coffee, I came back out, it had all stopped. I don't know what's happening here.
Good thing you're not wearing any ruby red slippers, otherwise you'd be Dorothy Wizard of Oz out there getting taken taken away. But it's
I mean,
Melbourne.
you say that. You haven't had a look what I've got on down here, have you?
It's Melbourne. It's 4 seasons in one day, and
Yes.
you can experience anything. And it doesn't look like they started play on the outside court, so I'm sure it's still a torrential downpour out there to kind of cool off the day.
Well, apparently the next couple of days are going to be pretty wild here in Melbourne. I'm told there's going to be some 20, 30 miles an hour winds tomorrow, and a lot of rain in the place. I mean, literally half the temperature that it was today. It's a forehand cross court from Jabeur that hits the tram line. So Zidanšek holds. She moves ahead 3-2. It's on serve. She's a set behind, but she's handling herself pretty well here. And I'm just impressed. I don't understand how tennis players lose a tie-break set and don't just fall apart, because I'm convinced I would do exactly that.
Hey, it really depends. It depends how you were playing leading into the set, what the score of the tiebreak was. And I mean, and you also have to kind of realize the player that you are. I mean, some players can get really high, some players can get really low, and tennis is such a mental game. It's managing expectations, managing, you know, the situation that's placed in front of you. You can't do anything about the tiebreaker that's gone and passed. You have to just knuckle down and just work and stay within touching distance of Ons right here, because Ons doesn't seem to have kind of the pep, the kick right now of being someone with a set lead.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually. And do you think that's because she's trying to find something? She's trying to find her game, and it's not really quite there at the moment.
Yeah, she's missing some shots that probably she doesn't expect herself to miss. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're all perfectionists, and we're all looking for that feeling of just perfection out here on court, where you're just striking the ball so clean and hitting the shots how you envision them in your mind. And when it's not happening, sometimes you can get a little too extra critical on yourself in the match.
Jabeur here at 2-3. She draws an error and goes 15 overhead. How often in a year, a typical year, would you have that feeling that, oh, I'm on it today, this is great?
I mean, honestly, for me, it was mostly deep into a tournament. You would feel like, man, I just blitzed somebody and they had nothing to do with the match. I mean, but that's kind of the game style I have. I don't. When I'm playing my best tennis, I don't really allow my opponent to have a say in the match, and that's what I'm personally looking to do. I'm looking to take advantage of the first strike, first hit kind of tennis. And so when you're kind of seeing the ball as a beach ball and hitting every shot that you imagine and dream of, which for Ons could be, you know, a running forehand, it could be the feel of the drop shot, it could be, you know, the way a serve looks. It's all so many variables that could take place.
So far, Jabeur just handling her serve quite comfortably here. I get the feeling the crowd are trying to recover from that first set tie break. It was so dramatic, and it's fairly quiet inside the Rod Laver Arena just at the moment. 3 games all, but I suspect there's a crescendo coming.
They kind of have the momentum of the match, the crowd. I mean, Ons unfortunately isn't showing, like I said earlier, just kind of the pep of being up a set, having held super easily. Maybe you do an over-eccentric fist pump to kind of just fake a little energy, and I mean, or look at your box and have them stand up and give you some. And right now, I mean, Ons is kind of just looking down, kind of a little I don't want to even say like depressed, but just in just kind of a dejected way.
Yeah, it's not going quite well. A funk at the moment as she hits her backhand down the line, but good cross-court forehand by Zidanšek, and now she drive volleys away. Very well played.
That was a great shot tolerance by Tamara. She was just baiting Ons into those backhand rallies. And what Ons wants to do is get into the forehand cross rally. She's not really getting an advantage when the ball and the shot tolerance gets above 5.
Serve long by Zidanšek at 15 love, 3 games all. Jabeur's inside the baseline, smacks her backhand really flat cross court. Now she's got a forehand that she'll whip cross court with some topspin, but she's on the back foot here as Zidanšek's hitting really well from the baseline and using that word as words. Shot tolerance, rally tolerance as the backhand goes down the line from Zidanšek. Lob volley by Jabeur, hits the baseline. How clever was that? And Zidanšek tried to improvise a sort of underhand forehand with a back to Jabeur. That's impossible, and Jabeur wins the point.
I almost wanted to call out Tweener, but Tamara did a great job running this shot down and making Ons hit an incredible lob over her head. I mean, that just shows the speed and the wheels of being ready for Ons and her drop shots.
That's Coco van der Wey here with us on 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. Day 2 of the Australian Open, and we've had a couple of good days. Emma Raducanu winning yesterday, Jack Draper pushing Rafael Nadal, and Andy Murray beating Matteo Berrettini in 5 sets and nearly 5 hours in a final set tiebreak. And now Ons Jabeur being pushed by Tamara Zidanšek, who had set points in that first set, and it's 3 games all in the second and 30-15 to the Slovak. Serves that wide onto the backhand, driven back at her by Jabeur, who hits her forehand off the back foot, but she doesn't want to give up any ground at all. She wins the point as her opponent nets the forehand.
A nice little fist pump to herself. Having some positive energy is so important right here. She needs to just focus in on making the return, giving herself a chance in this rally. She just has to knuckle down, keep the pressure on Tamara.
Three games all, 30 all. Big point coming up. Jabeur with the forehand return, trying to set up break point here. She moves to her left. She's got a backhand to hit down the line, but she nets, and she's frustrated.
I mean, as much as I love how Ons transitions, she does it a lot with a closed stance, and sometimes when the pace of ball isn't coming through the court, you kind of have to open stance and run through it, and she just kind of got stuck in her feet, jammed herself, and couldn't get her hands through the ball on that backhand.
Chips a forehand return, moves to her left. Jabeur now slices a backhand and floats that one wide, and that's not going to improve her mood at all. And she really is frustrated at her own performance and execution so far in this match. I think generally in the set as well, 4-3 down in the second set. And I just wonder, Coco, if you're her opponent, is this a really nice sight for you to see Jabeur looking so irritable?
Absolutely. It just confirms of what you're doing is bothering her. How you're playing is bothering her, and it's just all positive energy. Ons is still sitting on the bench, just kind of berating herself in a way of how she's hitting the shots, and it's just, that's only a positive sign for Tamara that, hey, I'm getting under her skin.
Yeah, there's so much psychology involved, isn't there? And we're looking at pictures of Jabeur at the moment, just talking to herself, almost asking herself why she's playing so badly, or at least in her mind.
Well, to me, I don't mind if you want to be negative. I mean, you see lots of players be negative on themselves, but it's how you handle it. How long does it last? If I'm Ons, hey, get it out, get it done with. You don't have to keep going all through that changeover. If you want to be mad, yell into the towel. Give yourself a thigh slap, maybe knock a ball out of the stadium, but then that's it. We get back to work and we start putting the hammer down on Tamara to close out this match. I know we'd all like to be Borg out there and be, but it's just, it doesn't always work.
Apparently he lost his temper once. John McEnroe told me. Once in 25 years. Here's an inside-out forehand, put away by Ons Jabeur.
You hear her box kind of giving her positive reinforcement there on that shot, which, is always helpful as a player when you can't get yourself out of the funk that you're in, or at least a negative talk that you're in, your box standing up and being like, hey, you're doing a good job. It's okay out here.
Three-four, Jabeur. 15 love. Serves. Oh, that's a lovely serve. Second serve, loads of spin, swinging it away right into the corner of the service box.
That was very pretty. I mean, she's been mixing up the second serves, which is such a smart play. You can't keep giving these girls who have been, you know, really successful on their returns, and especially a second serve, it kind of gives you a little bit of a breather to kind of mix it around, not always go to the backhand side and have a change up going to the forehand.
Second serve, bounces up high to Zidanšek. What a lovely return though, inside out from the body from Zidanšek, and she just sort of walks away almost like a gunslinger blowing on the top of the revolver because she's just launched a fantastic return.
I always love that return because your body weight as a server is going to your left into the backhand side of the court, and if you hit that shot inside out with the backhand into the forehand side of the court, you have to change your body momentum so quickly as a server. It's not always easy to do, as it was proven right there.
3-4 Jabeur, but 30-15. She's still very competitive though, and her opponent has not gone away mentally at all, and she's hit a very deep backhand return. She's cramped up Jabeur. It's 30-all, little shake of the racket from Zidanšek, and she believes.
See, that's what all this negative energy has kind of created, is allowing your opponent to believe that she belongs here, that she's supposed to be in this match. As a seed and as a high-ranked player, you want your opponent to feel as quickly as possible that they don't belong here anymore. You're here to kind of put the hammer down.
Forehand off the back foot by Zidanšek, and it just misses the sideline, and really that's an unforced error I think she's feeling. Bit of frustration shown in the body language of Jabeur, and there's two chaps in the crowd with only the three letters of ONS for On's name, and they've got them the wrong way around. Anyway, here's a backhand cross court that's gone long by Jabeur, and this is going to be a juice point.
Ons needs to get back to thinking, all right, first serve, where's the placement, where's that first ball going, and keep going for maybe a higher percentage here, just keeping with the cross courts, bigger targets on the court, so it goes back onto Tamara's racket.
Backhand is hit down the centre by Zidanšek, but that's a lovely inside-out forehand from Jabeur. Then she pulls it too far, though, on the cross-court forehand, and the scurrying of Zidanšek helped to draw that error. And that's another unforced error, though, and it's break point.
That was a great get by Tamara. I mean, she kept that slice low, which isn't easy to do when you're on the dead stretch, and Ons might have been a little bit surprised that she hit that shot so well and was a little complacent with her footwork for that forehand.
Forehand return down the middle, and it's too good for Jabeur. She can't control the half volley. She's broken, and it's 5-3 Zidanšek, who'll serve for the second set.
You could kind of feel that moment coming. I mean, this whole last series of 3-4 games, Tamara's just kind of hung around. Ons has not been the most positive person out there. She's not the minister of happiness like she says she is. She's got to kind of channel into that. And you could just feel the moment that Tamara was kind of hanging around just long enough, and now she has the break. Let's see if she can consolidate it.
Backhand return down the middle from Jabeur. Then she digs into a backhand slice and does the same again, this time fades it down the line. Now the forehand on the line. Such a lovely sight to watch Jabeur try to construct these rallies, and eventually the variety pays off and a backhand goes long from Zidanšek.
Yes, it's fantastic to see her kind of maneuver around the court. Her anticipation is so good, Ons, and for her to be able to kind of dictate, even with those short slices, to change a pace down the line. It's not always easy to hit a running forehand. Most of the time you're going to go cross court with that slice down to your forehand.
This is a new challenge for Zidanšek now. She's got the break, she's 5-3 up, she's serving for the set. Can she handle this moment? Backhand cross court from her is deep, love 15. Forehand cross court is also deep, but Jabeur's there. She'll now chip a backhand, digs into it and floats it long, then puts another one down the line. It's that concoction again, that same construction of the point, and then she pulls the backhand cross court. That's too wide. and that'll not improve the mood of Ons Jabeur.
See, that was a great change from Tamara. The first point, she went cross court with that sliced line. She ended up on the losing end of that and said, okay, well, that didn't work out for me. I'm going to give myself a little bit of air to Ons's weaker side, the two-handed backhand, and see what she comes up with, and she pushed that backhand wide.
Serve out wide, massive return cross court, wins the point for Jabeur as the forehand is parried long by Zidanšek.
You just got to say too good. You hit a really good serve, and hey, Ons is number 2 in the world. She's going to come up with great shots, and right there, that was a great shot. Now it's time for Tamara to settle down, take her time, which she's doing right here, and make sure she has a plan out in front of herself.
So 15-30 on the Zidanšek serve as she serves for this second set. A set to love down. She had 3 set points that I counted, maybe more in that opening set, as she puts this one onto the backhand and hits an inside-out forehand. Bullet does Zidanšek.
She's shown that that's what she loves to do, stand and deliver when she is down. It's always been an inside-out forehand. Ons just didn't get a handle of that backhand return. It sat in the middle of the court, and Tamara got the shot that she's been loving all match, that forehand inside-out.
Sergio serve down the middle from Zidanšek. Now off the back foot, she hits that inside-out forehand again. It hits the line. Goodness. That was
not
close.
Easy to do. Talking about fine margins right there. Hitting a forehand off the back foot is probably the hardest shot because it's so easy to take your head up and pull off the ball and hit a little mishit. But Tamara did a fantastic job and now has set point.
Delivers the serve out wide, has an open court but doesn't put it cross courts, just hits it down the middle straight back to Jabeur, and then Jabeur made her pay as she hit the forehand down the middle and Zidanšek into the bottom of the net with a forehand.
She got the shot she wanted, and again, tennis is all about execution, and Tamara just didn't get that ball cross court. It ended up just being in the middle, and she was caught late on that second forehand.
5-3 juice, Zidanšek. Serves down the centre, runs around the backhand to hook the forehand, and where's it landed? Long. So break back point.
Man, oh man, she's just let Ons hang around a little too much in this service game, having a little bit of pressure on herself. She's got to get her feet moving, a little extra footwork, more than you need to be when you're this nervous serving for a set.
Serve out wide, break point down now, Zidanšek. She's had her chances today. Is she going to take some of them? Serves down the middle, it sits up for Jabeur to swat at the ball and hit a backhand cross court. Now she'll wind up into the forehand and put it onto the backhand of Zidanšek. Cross court to cross court they go. Now changing it the other way. Backhand down the centre from Zidanšek. Break point down. She hits that shot again. Forehand inside out, struck with purchase from Jabeur. Now she'll hit another one, but she flails it out of court.
That was so good by Tamara, just kind of getting the ball back in play, waiting for Ons to make the mistake, and she ended up getting that mistake in the forehand. Ons just didn't get her feet in position, caught herself in a jam there.
Six, 7, 5-3, juice. Zidanšek serving. Down the centre it goes. Now she'll hit her backhand cross court, but halfway up the net. She's made to do a lot of running to get to that ball.
When you're dealing with a slice, you need so much racket head speed because you have to create the pace yourself. And there, Tamara just kind of reached and stabbed at it. She didn't really accelerate as well as she needed to.
Great point to get Jabeur back on serve here. She hits her forehand down the middle, forehand inside out, struck by Zidanšek, and Jabeur is going to chip her backhand and bring in Zidanšek, who plays a little drop shot attempt of her own on the forehand as she nets, and it's back on serve.
A little slow getting up to that short ball. She was hitting really good inside-out forehands, got the shot that she needed. I know that was a low, difficult shot, and she just was a little slow getting up there.
Yeah, she's... you tell me, Coco, I'd have thought if Zidanšek doesn't win this set, tonight, when she goes to bed, she's going to be thinking about a few missed opportunities today.
Well, of course, she had set points in the first set and now set points in the second set on her own serve. And it's not easy to kind of stomach if you end up on the losing end and knowing that you had opportunities and just couldn't take them. It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, I'm sure. Gigi, we don't have to worry about that, do we? We just sit and watch tennis and tell everybody what's going on.
Yes, we do. Well, we do our best to tell everyone what's happening. So I can tell you, and I'm really annoyed that in all the people I picked to win the title, because I can't just go for one, I didn't put Bencic in there. Why did I not put Bencic in there? 6-1,
she's in form, isn't
6-2.
she?
Oh, boy, she's in form. She's got the tie. She's got Dmitry Tersnov on her team. I was commentating on at the Billie Jean King Cup finals when Switzerland won that back end of the last year. 6-1, 6-2. She's looking good. She is through. Alex de Minaur is going to continue to fly the Australian flag. And you were talking about all the seasons in one day, obviously suspended outdoors. And when you think, David, look, it's not going to put them behind, but we had around 40 odd matches to get completed today, and they're hardly going to get through any of those today.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, the weather's not looking too clever tomorrow, to be honest. So there is going to be some catch-up required. I mean, the good news for this tournament is they do have 3 courts with roofs. I mean, there's plenty of them around the world that aren't as well equipped as that, but I always like to look at the positive side, Coco. The good news is that when the weather does turn for the better, we'll have loads and loads of tennis to watch.
Glass half full.
Yeah, more than ever. Here's a forehand inside out for Jabeur to hit, and she's love 15 down, 4-5 down, and so the Zidanšek still got chances here. Maybe it'll be even easier to win the set against the serve for her without the pressure. It's love 30 now.
Maybe. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just easier to swing out on the return of serve games, and Ons just delivered a booming ace right there.
Almost as if she heard me and said, no chance. Ace is coming up here. 15-30. This set building just as the last one did. People fanning themselves inside the stadium. It's pretty warm today still. A forehand hit off her toes on the baseline by Jabeur, but she's gone long. These are 2 set points for Zidanšek.
Tamara did a great job taking that serve on the rise, directing it down the line. Not easy to do when you're returning up 30-15, hoping to get some set points.
Just misses the centre service line, Jabeur. She tries to stave off the first of these 2 set points. But Tamara Zidanšek is looking to level. She hits a big forehand. Oh, she's taking charge here. Little drop shot. In comes Jabeur. Little chip cross court from her. Misses. Zidanšek wins the set. She levels, and she deserved that.
You called it right. It's easier to break for the set than it is to hold for the set, but that was a great 2 return of serve points. She took her opportunity. She did go for the lower percentage, but she said to Ons, listen, I'm taking my opportunity. I'm not letting any more set points get past me.
Yeah, I like the way she hit out there. She really went for it to Tamara Zidanšek when the opportunity presented itself. She's now put her bag on her shoulder and she's off. I don't know where she's going, but she's not going to be around here for the next few minutes. But anyway, it's the end of the set. There is a set break, and it is 1 set apiece. And Novak Djokovic is going to have a bit of a weight on his hands because he is involved in the second night match here on the Rod Laver Arena. And they have had one heck of a day's play so far. 5 hours of Andy Murray winning, and now 1 set all with Ons Jabeur in a real fight.
After Arina Sabalenka and Caroline Garcia, I mean, they were fairly quick, but a couple of good matches out there in Rod Laver Arena. You mentioned that the Murray match, and now Novak Djokovic, who was filmed watching the conclusion of that Murray match alongside Fabio Fognini. Fognini could face Murray in the next round if he gets on court at some point for his match against Thanasi Kokkinakis. So Djokovic will have to wait. You mentioned Zidanšek had left the court. We're hoping that very shortly she is going to return to the court. We're running through the stats there. And Coco, I can't figure out whether I'm surprised or not that we're in this situation, that we're going to a third. I mean, there were a couple of signs in that first set from Jabeur, but I really thought that once she had come through and closed it out. But again, it's Zidanšek not looking flustered by anything and just dealing with what was in front of her.
Well, even in the first set, Ons only had a 1 point advantage in the point total. So that's how close that first set was. And here, as the stats just showed, she only had the advantage of 2 points. So, I mean, this match has been so close, and it's just a testament to Tamara of just hanging around long enough, hoping that Ons shows a little bit of a crack. And unfortunately, Ons just hasn't had the positive energy that you expect from her and that you've seen. And even now, we're looking at her. She's sitting on the bench, just kind of not moving too much, kind of looking dejected. And Tamara's probably off in the locker room getting a change of clothes, and Ons just thinking to herself, "What the heck just happened? How did I let that slip?"
Yeah, it is a puzzle, and you're right about the body language from Jabeur. So we have the concluding set of this match to come, but we mentioned Zidanšek had left the court. We also reminded you, maybe you were with us from 5 o'clock this morning. If so, you're doing really well, because it's nearly 11 o'clock in the morning that saw Andy Murray go through against Matteo Berrettini. Going through before Murray, he crept out after the heat rule was lifted, was Dan Evans. He overcame the Argentinian Facundo Bagnis to battle into the second round of the Australian Open. The British number 2, who struggled with illness in the build-up to tournament, won 6-4, 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, and after the match, he spoke to Russell.
Yeah, it was okay when the wind was going, but the wind had stopped and they called us off. It was hot. Yeah, I'm amazed how many people stayed out there, to be honest.
I guess you didn't know quite how long you'd be off court for, but you had 3 hours in the end. So what did you do with that time?
Yeah, I obviously sort of did a warm down. It was strange because it sort of went in steps. I'm not sure if you were hearing the announcements or getting the announcements sort of hour by hour, so wasn't sure how long we were getting. Took some food and then, just relaxed, put my feet up and got going again. And
then when you restarted, was that, I know you're used to restarting matches normally after rain delays, but is it doubly hard to restart when you've been out there for 2+ hours in such heat?
Yeah, it was, I felt like I played a full match. My legs were sore, and then when I walked out, I've obviously been in aircon all the time. I walked out, it was roasting again. Yeah, and to get going again, it's been a funny sort of day. Couldn't believe the time, to be honest. Once finished, I was first on. I thought be finished or in and out of the tournament. But yeah, another strange day. But these are the tournaments you want to be in, and delighted to come through.
Dan Evans speaking with Russell. Now, David, you sort of said with a smile on your face, oh, Tamara Zidanšek's left. Maybe she won't come back. I think they're looking for her because she still hasn't come back.
2 minutes remaining, 2 minutes.
Oh, there we go. Just been told she's got 2 minutes before she needs to come back. A word while we've got the time on Dan Evans. We talked about Jack Draper and what he's battled with health, though. A really good win in these conditions for Dan Evans to get it done and get through.
Yeah, I think it shows how far he's come in terms of professionalism the last few years. I mean, the last couple of years, that's not been in doubt at all. But if you were to go back earlier in his career, he might have get bothered by the situation today. That's really not easy, is it? He started the day at 11 o'clock local time. It was roasting hot, to use his words, and he was fighting against a player who really seemed to revel in those circumstances. It was 1 set all. It was nip and tuck in the third set. Then the heat rule comes in. They have to disappear for 3-4 hours. Come out, it's still hot. I mean, it was a lot to contend with today, I think, for Dan Evans, but he got the job done and did it pretty well.
Yeah, he certainly did, and he faces, I think it's Jeremy Shardy in the next round. Shardy back, he had an operation last year, so good to see him back on tour. We have found a Slovenian in Tamara Zidanšek. And Coco, I don't want to start reading too much into this, trying to find reasons, but during that break there was a lot of prodding and poking of the right knee that's got the bandage on from Jabeur. Have you noticed anything in terms of the movement from Jabeur that would concern you or not?
I mean, honestly, no. I besides the lack of footwork on some shots, but I wouldn't consider that because of the knee. Obviously, when you're losing and the knee can now be like, oh, that didn't feel that good, as opposed to when you're winning, you're like, oh, everything feels fine, you're popping through and going. But yes, she was playing around with it, kind of pushing some pressure into her knee. We'll see how it affects her going into this third set.
So what do you think, Jabeur? And it's Zidanšek to serve, and she's love 15. It's the second serve, and Jabeur is standing in quite close, and she actually draws the double fault. What does Jabeur need to tweak and adjust to get herself back on track in this third?
Honestly, just positive body language. I mean, she's playing well enough to win. She just needs to have consistent positive body language and stop showing her opponent that she's getting under her skin.
Yeah, absolutely, because you don't get a lot of emotion from Zidanšek. She's got a good poker face out there today. She's taken her time off court. She's changed the outfit. The cheeks aren't quite as flushed. We are nearly 2 hours on the match clock. Zidanšek comes in a short ball. You saw the little shuttle steps there. She squeaked to a halt. She plays the high backhand, and she gets herself on the board.
15-30.
Tamara's been doing such a good job of measuring these shots. Ons has a very difficult slice to play and has been doing such a great job getting her feet set underneath the ball and getting the ball up and down with some good racket head speed.
15-30. Zidanšek serves down the tee. The forehand through the middle. The off forehand. Oh, just must have caught a slither of the edge of that sideline.
Yes, again, Ons does not like being the defensive player. She really struggles when she has an opponent that's being the aggressor and is taking that opportunity away from her.
But as a player, can you just get on and play like that, or do you have to add that into your game? Because surely that then becomes the game plan of players to play against someone like Ons Jabeur.
Of course, but you have to have the ability to be able to do it. I'm very fortunate that that's the only ability I really have. So I'm not going to be out here grinding down, a 30-ball rally and running like a jackrabbit along the baseline. So but these things going in against your opponents, what they like, what they don't really like, how they like to play. I love to go study some film about players that I'm going to play, see matches that they win, see matches that they lose. So it kind of shows me what they like to do, what they didn't like receiving in matches that they had lost.
Break point for Ons Jabeur in the first game of this deciding set of this first round match. Deep ball off the backhand slice from Jabeur. She slices and clips the racket surface with the frame. She slices again, cross court, the slice from Zidanšek. The slice into the net and the drop of the racket from Jabeur, and the break point saved.
I mean, Ons was there. Ons had the point on her racket. She was in a point that she really enjoys with the slice battle, and again, just such negative body language. She needs to just either break that racket and cut it out, and get back to the swing of things and look kind of glass half full. But this whole moping about and just continuing this negative energy is not doing her any favors.
No, I mean it's the body language of Jabeur, the negativity. It's something, again, he doesn't normally run around the court skipping, but this really is the dropping of the racket, the hunching of the shoulders, the monologues with herself, the stretch now on the forehand for Jabeur, and now the slapping of the thigh. I mean, after almost every point, there's negativity emanating from Jabeur.
Yeah, you have to give Tamara credit because she is staying solid. She is staying solid emotionally. She's seeing that she's bothering her opponent, and it's allowing her freedom to be able to hit really good shots and have the confidence behind it.
Game point from Zidanšek from break point down the backhand through the middle of the court. The forehand flip cross court from the Slovenian. The net is found. The racket is dropped. The negativity continues. And Zidanšek is on the board first game of the deciding set. So if you've been in a situation like this, Coco, when you just can't, does it come to a racket smashing? How can she turn this around? Because if she continues like this, she is not going to go any further.
Well, I don't want parents being mad at me for promoting some racket breaking or what have you. I mean, yeah, you don't want to break rackets because, I mean, the people that make the rackets work so hard to, develop a great product and everything. But you have to find some sort of release. Either, you can go over and launch a ball out of the stadium or pound it into the court, something. You just need to find something that releases this negative energy so you feel complacent enough to be like, all right, it's done. I'm over and done with this attitude. I'm moving on.
Takes the first point. Heavy serve from Jabeur. Jabeur, remember, is the world number 2. One of the goals this year is to go one step further than she did last year, to win a Grand Slam. Reached 2 finals, Wimbledon and the US Open. Had such an incredible season, but the pressure is on, the pressure changes, and the task here is a tough one against a Slovenian who's standing firm and taking her into a decider. Jabeur, just a couple of bounces the ball needed. Ball against frame, reaches up, tosses ball, so that's a good weighty serve from Jabeur.
That was a great serve into the forehand, had good pace, good placement. She hasn't had too high of a first serve percentage in the last 2 sets, so let's see if she can bump that up this set.
I think we're back in action on the outdoor courts, which is the good news. I'm seeing a little live flashing against Thanasi Kokkinakis and Fabio Fognini, who are in the Kia Arena. And it is 2-1 on serve in favour of the Australian, the winner to face Andy Murray. So that is the good news, that matches are back on court. And Casper Ruud is starting very early stages. He's just held his serve in his first round match, and still to come Novak Djokovic and plenty other matches beside. But that's the good news, that the little live symbol is flashing and the matches are taken to the courts. They'll see how many they can get completed. Also out there is Auckland winner Richard Gasquet taking on Ugo Humbert in an all-French affair. So we'll keep you across all the scores, all the results, as Jabeur holds serve. And she's sort of, Coco, I would call it sort of pacing, prowling round the back of the court with that furrowed brow.
Yeah, she's, I mean, she just held serve. She's, even in this third set, she needs to find something that's going to energize her. I mean, bounce around. If that knee is bothering you, you got to keep yourself warm. Somebody needs to do something to kind of kick Ons out of this funk.
And Zidanšek must be quite an annoying person to face, because she's just sort of cracking on with things. I mean, there she is, off she goes, doesn't give you anything. Jabeur just smooths a couple of stray hairs from her ponytail, brushes them backwards. She's got the headband tied round. The new ball is shown by Zidanšek, whose cheeks are flushed once more, the exertions of the match that's lasted now just over 2 hours. The one clips the top of the net from Zidanšek. She has to spin that forehand. She's sort of moving backwards, doesn't have her feet in the right position, but she draws the error from the Tunisian, and she's on the board in the third game.
With new balls, everything moves a little bit quicker, so your preparation has to be a little bit quicker. And it's always great to serve with new balls into the open ends of the court. The out wide serves always work well, just because the balls are moving so freshly. And hopefully Tamara uses this to her advantage on her service game.
Jabeur with the forehand, she flips it, whips it, cross court, finds it. It's just a very subtle fist pump with the racket in hand.
15-all.
Yes, that was a great aggressive rally point from Ons. She stayed hugging the baseline, stayed on her front foot, and stayed in the aggressive position.
Lots of close-ups and camera shots on the taping on that knee. Is it bothering her? Is it not? I'm sure the question, win or lose, will be asked of her in the press conference. Again, holding her stance on the baseline there, Jabeur, and really swinging at this ball now. She's come into the net. She leaves the ball from Zidanšek, who just misses wide, but it's a much more positive point from Jabeur.
Yes, absolutely. Again, Ons wants to be the aggressor. The last couple of games and points and the whole feeling of the match of when she's been down in the points and in the sets is she's been on the defensive. On needs to take the ball on, not to be too cheeky there, but I mean, she just needs to have Tamara feel like she leaves any ball hanging short. Ons is going to be there to pounce on it and take advantage of the situation.
Break points for Jabeur. Remember, she had a break point in the opening game of this deciding set. She couldn't convert. A couple more here to edge ahead in this decider. Strands of hair sort of stuck with sweat to the side of the neck of the Tunisian. Wide stance, waiting for this return serve onto her toes. Fault called. So a second serve to look at. Break points in hand. A real opportunity here for Ons Jabeur, the world number 2. Didn't play at the Australian Open last year due to a back injury, so everything to gain, and that forehand just finds its way into the tram lines. There's nothing from the husband of Jabeur. There's applause from the coach, and Jabeur just strides back and takes her seat. With your boxes, do you like them to be noisy and like a Danielle Collins box? They're up and down, screaming, fist pumping, a hooting and a hollering and a yelling. Do you like that kind of box? Do you like a silent box, or do you not care what they do in the box?
No, I like emotion for my box. I like positive energy for my box. I mean, I grew up in arena sports where, you know, everyone's loud, they're cheering, they're booing, they're heckling. I mean, I always heard noise. So when it's too quiet, it just kind of feels off to me. So I need someone to encourage me and to kind of have my back for me.
And as you are the boss, we were talking about this with Kim Kleisters yesterday, it's this weird dynamic that you are the boss of the team, you're paying your coaches, but they're the ones kind of telling you what to do, but you're in charge. I find it quite a weird dynamic. So would you say to your coach in your box, I want you to yell, or I want you to be noisy, or do they just know you and they know what they should do?
Well, if you have a good relationship with your coach, they'll know what to do, how to motivate you, how to kind of get some energy going from their side of things onto the court. But I mean, there has been times where I have gone over to my box and I'm like, come on, stand up, I need something, because I can feel it for myself. I can feel I'm not exuding the happiness and the energy that I need to.
Yeah, everyone just needs something a little bit different. But the Danielle Collins box is slightly scary. I mean, there's a lot of jumping and there's a lot of fist pumping and there's a lot of hollering. But as you say, if you need it, you need it.
Well, it's kind of the player that you have in front of you. I mean, Danielle's kind of like that also. So maybe it's just, it's kind of like an owner and their dog. The dog kind of like has the same energy and behavior. I mean, I don't know. Danielle is an interesting cat.
Yeah, I mean, terrifying. I'd find her terrifying to play her, but she brings that energy. I mean, wow. Yeah. But then there's a Zidanšek box. I mean, they just sit there very, very quietly, just watching. But that's what their player is doing, is it clips the top of the net from the Slovenian off the forehand, now the backhand into the centre, and the forehand netted. Again, just not seeming to move the feet, Jabeur.
She's really not adjusting well when Tamara gets the ball deep. She's not you either have to take the couple steps back and be able to handle the deep ball, or if you have the good hands and the good timing, taking it early, having that good aggressive swing to be able to kind of take it short hop on the rise.
A good pattern with the inside-out forehand from Jabeur, just going deep into the corner, had Zidanšek on the stretch and bypassed her with the second of those off forehands. Important now for Jabeur to consolidate this break. She has the advantage. She has points here now to go 3-1 up in the decider, but that serve is dumped into the net. And again, the look on her face of, why can't it just go over? This one does on the second serve. Oh, she wasn't far off Zidanšek. She took a real swing at that second serve, but that is the point, and that is the consolidation for Jabeur. I wouldn't say she's happier, but at least the body language is a little bit more positive.
Well, the third set break can go one of two ways. You can kind of calm down and get back to work. You can kind of lose your focus a little bit when you leave the court. It's not easy to do, and it seems that Tamara hasn't kind of taken the energy of winning that second set and kind of transferring it into this third set. She's kind of let just be here. Tamara has just kind of broken herself in these games, hasn't really been the same player that she was at the second set.
Yeah, she really hasn't. Starting to drift away a little bit now. Double fault from Zidanšek, a bit of frustration. Jabeur hasn't lost a Grand Slam match to a player outside of the top 80 since back in 2015, and we know Zidanšek's been as high as 22, but current ranking sitting at 98. But it could run away from her here if she's not careful, as Jabeur with the forehand through the middle of the court, and it's loose from Zidanšek, and now 1-3 love 30.
Love 30.
I mean, this is a great example of what Ons needs to do. She needs to get the second break, really make Tamara feel like she's got no hope in this third set, and Tamara's just making some loose errors, getting down early, love 30. Now she's, a little distracted by something in the crowd. She just needs to get her focus back in this match.
Love 30, big point coming up here. 3-1 the advantage for Kokkinakis against Fognini. We're keeping an eye on that because the winner faces Andy Murray. Casper Ruud on serve, early stages of his match. 2 hours and 10 minutes of this contest. Novak Djokovic and Roberto Caballes Baena are waiting in the wings. Love 30 through the middle of the court they play. Now a looping forehand, a flattened out cross-court backhand from Jabeur, who spins around and plays inside in off the forehand side. Long from Zidanšek. She's just waiting and playing patient tennis, and she's getting the errors, she's getting the rewards, and she has points for the double break.
That's a great example of the change of momentum. Ons was kind of on the losing ends of those longer rallies, and here now she is with a love 40 lead to get up a double break into this third set.
9 on full serves from Zidanšek in this third set. That's be the difference between the two. Deep off the backhand goes Jabeur. Jabeur swings at the forehand cross court. Now she swings deep into the backhand of Zidanšek, who's on the defensive. Zidanšek stretches the double hand. It goes back. She wants the air off the backhand side. She gets it. She gets it on Jabeur. She still doesn't look happy. But the box will be mightily relieved because that is a double break and a 4-1 lead. It's exactly, Coco, what on Jabeur need, that comfort, the security of the double break, which she has for 4-1.
Yes, that was a great cross-court backhand tolerance rally from Ons. She didn't try and take that ball down the line. She was happy to sit with the two-hander and not go to the slice, and she broke Tamara down. We haven't seen that all match long, and that's just a testament to being up the break, now feeling the momentum, and having a love 40 lead definitely helps.
Yeah, and she's been quite negative on Jabeur, but she's also managed to stay calm with it and just ride that storm. And I guess sometimes it is just riding that storm and coming through it, and she's a more experienced player at the. I wonder, she talks about being open with the press and saying, I'm going to tell you guys, I want to be world number one, I want to win all these Grand Slams, which is wonderful. She's so open because we want the players to be open with us. But I wonder, do you think it puts any more pressure on her? Because we're all sitting here now going, well, she said that this year she wants to win a Grand Slam.
I would imagine it would put more pressure on her. I mean, she showed kind of at Roland Garros last year and just bowing out in that first round, going in with such momentum that sometimes, I mean, she's got to learn to handle that pressure. And if it's self-proclaimed pressure, hey, I have no problem with kind of expressing that, but you got to kind of put your money where your mouth is a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Double fault from Jabeur. Really went for off the second serve, didn't hold back. Couple of words from coach in the box. Love 15 does have that comfort blanket of the double break, but will want to get the job done. She hasn't enjoyed her day at her Melbourne office, and she just swings and is loose and is now love 30.
Love 30.
Again, what she was doing so well to be up on this double break was just having the patience, not feeling like she has to do too much in these last 2 points. I mean, just being sloppy with that first point, having a double fault, and now sloppy with that forehand.
Wide serve, draws the error on the board.
15-30.
Very quickly back into position, just takes the first ball that is offered to her, bounces it a few times, has a quick look across, now settles herself into the first serve. Jabeur misses big down the tee. So Zidanšek creeps inside the baseline, plays a double-handed back and tried to push Jabeur back. She's opened up the down the line. She goes, but she overhits it, Zidanšek. She cannot believe it. She had set it up, and it's 30 all.
Yeah, I mean, Ons did a good job getting that extra ball back and playing it, and Tamara feeling the pressure of having to kind of force the issue to get back on a single break, just overcooked that backhand line.
Ace out wide, game point. A round of applause from the Jabeur box. Yeah, just now, you just feel just wants to get this done, just get it over the line. We talk about how difficult these first round matches at Grand Slams can be, especially for the seeded players, those top players. Everyone needs to find their rhythm and settle in, and they get stronger as they go through the gears, they go through the rounds, and you feel this is a match just needs to get it across the finish line. Jabeur with the backhand, it's loose and it drops a little bit short, but it's into the net from Zidanšek. It's a point, it's a hold, and she is now one game away on Jabeur for a place in the second round.
You're absolutely right. I mean, when you're the high seed, you know that these girls are coming for your spot. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It's just you're always a target. You're always having to deal with everyone's best game.
Yeah, you have that target. They want the scalp. They want to say, I beat the world number 2. 1-5 serving to stay in the match now. The Slovenian, the 25-year-old, just got 1 win and 7 defeats. That's her record against top 10 players. She's fought hard, but Jabeur, now you get a raised fist pump because she is 3 points from the win.
That was an Jabeur point right there. Just having a good inside-out backhand return, a crazy field drop shot cross-court winner. I mean, that I can't dream up a point that doesn't scream ons more than that one.
It just looks so effortless. Love 15, 1-5. Zidanšek looking to go body into the centre of the box, but misses. Jabeur swaying at the far end of the court, stands up straight on her toes. It's a double fault from Zidanšek. They have crept into her game in this deciding set. Jabeur's 2 points from the win.
I mean, that's just pressure building. You know when you're facing down, serving 1-5, and you're just like, my gosh, like I just need to get this train back on the tracks, and double faults aren't going to help. And we haven't seen that all match, and it just shows the pressure that has mounted for Tamara.
Love 30, not finding this first serve. Jabeur creeps inside the baseline, making her presence felt, and there's another double fault. 2 double faults in this game. 2 hours 17 minutes on the clock, and 3 match points for the world number 2.
I mean, this is so crazy how this match has just swung. I mean, starting in the third set, that first service game that Tamara had, you wouldn't think that she'd be down 1-5 in this third set.
Really run away with her in this deciding set, but Jabeur a point from victory. Zidanšek serves out wide, the backhand cross-court. Zidanšek goes inside out with the forehand, a backhand that sits up the line from Jabeur. Jabeur with another very deep backhand, and it's a winner. There isn't a smile, but there is a fist pump, and there are fist pumps clenched in the Jabeur box. She's got the job done. It was about crossing the finish line, getting the first round under her belt. There's a nice exchange between the two at the net, and boy, will Jabeur feel relieved, Coco, because she has got through. It was tough, but she gets the win and she's into round 2.
Relieved is what she is feeling. That was not an easy first round opponent to face. I know her ranking is a lot lower, but she has been ranked in the top 30 of the world, made a good deep run into a Grand Slam. And Ons did not have her best game today, but that shows the mental fortitude of a world number 2, going and not having your best game and still coming out with the win.
Absolutely, but a little bit of the draw sticking, pretty chunky. Bencic in good form through, Sabalenka through. Tamara Zidanšek applauds the crowd, says thank you, and she makes her way off the Rod Laver Arena. And very shortly we will get the thoughts of Jabeur. Maybe they won't. I think it's going to be Elena Dokic down there. I think might or might not ask about the knee. It'll definitely be asked in press. Was it a factor? Was it a problem? Jabeur is just doing the tidying up of the water bottles and the bits and pieces, but I'm going to be very interested to hear what she has to say. But I imagine it's just about getting the job done, getting herself through the second seed, so she's propping up the bottom half of this draw. She's made her intentions clear about what she wants to achieve over the course, ideally for her, of this next year, and the sacrifices that she has made.
Keep it quick.
And here she is with Elena
recover.
Dokic.
First of all, congratulations. Welcome back to the Australian Open. You had to miss it last year due to injury, but a tough first round straight up. How did you get out of that one? What did you do to actually win this match?
Yeah, it was a very tough match. I mean, I wasn't playing very well, and she was putting a lot of pressure on me. I know she's a player that doesn't give up and brings every ball in, so I was pretty frustrated, but I'm glad that I let it out, in the second set. I just told myself to be number 2 in the world and just win this match,
Now, you had a couple of minutes there between the second and the third set. She took a bathroom break. You seem to be thinking quite a bit. What were you telling yourself there going into the third set? Because you did lose that second set. What was in your mind?
I was just, playing, trying to, make sure that I follow what my coach told me, because I wasn't really doing that, and he's gonna probably kill me after the match. But I'm just trying to be more patient. It's a tough sport, and you definitely don't want to play 3 sets here. But I try to keep it clean at the end, and I was playing just nice tennis.
Not easy to follow the instructions sometimes, is it? Please. Not easy.
Please tell him.
I'll tell him. Last question. It's a long match, late into the night, the recovery now. What does that look like? Is the ice bath now a part of the recovery?
Yeah, ice bath, and I'm going to make my husband work tonight to have a lot of massage and good recovery. Massage, guys, massage. For those who don't know, my husband is also my fitness coach and does everything for me. So
I'm glad we clarified that. I'm sure they knew what you meant. Anyway, congratulations. Great to talk to you. Go do your recovery. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for making us laugh, and thank you for producing the tennis that you do. Ladies and gentlemen, on Jabeur.
Elena Dokic with the question. My word, that could have got a little bit sticky towards the end there with Jabeur.
I don't know what it is about the Australian Open. I mean, first Taylor Fritz and his drawing, and now an on-court interview. I don't know. The happy slam it is, I guess.
Well, look, we did this big thing at the very beginning about the amount of previous winners who have had children from winning. If you look at the past winners, I think in recent years it's only Sophia Kenin who isn't either pregnant or had a child that's been a winner. And then you look at the people who've had babies in October, so you add your 9 months. I think we've got Medvedev in there, we've got Djokovic in there, Gail Monfils is in there. So we were just trying to think of more reasons why this is the happy slam.
I guess so. I mean, the stats don't lie.
And we're just looking at the numbers for Jabeur, and it was a tough test, but maybe it'll hold her in good stead the deeper she goes in this tournament. She talked about not listening to her coach, and he's not going to be happy with her, but sometimes it can be too straightforward. Maybe this will end up not being such a bad thing, this Zidanšek early test.
Well, it's great to hear the accountability from Ons, and knowing that she was screwing up for a good portion of that match, but she did a great job in that 3rd set, just kind of locking it down, having a lot more winners than unforced errors, and definitely showing, like she said, be the number 2 player in the world, win this match.
Yep, and you know what? She did, and she's at the bottom half of that draw, and just looking how things are being pieced together, it's going to be very, very exciting as this tournament progresses, but she's got the job done.